Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for spending your Friday night with me. We're going to be doing live readings on the channel this evening. We're going to be doing tarot readings. So I'll give everybody a little bit of time to kind of shuffle in before we get going. And if you can see me, give me a thumbs up, like the stream, let other people know that we are live. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm a Western astrologer with a focus on working both with astrology as well as tarot to better understand what's going on in the cosmos. We hang out here every Friday where we do donation-based readings. This week we're doing tarot, so you can get a 1 or 3 card spread. $20 donation for 1 card. It is going to be, I think, what are we charging? $40 for 3. 40, 44, 45, I don't know, I forget. I haven't done tarot in so long, guys, forgive me. But you can see the donation running across the bottom of the screen. There is a QR code right up here. So when you make your donation for your reading, choose the 1 or the 3 card spread. Ask any one question that you want. Don't forget to put your information in the memo box, please. And yeah, I'm really excited to be back. I think this is the first, is this the first tarot that we've done? I know I missed, I think, one of the weeks when we got started, but it's good to be back doing readings for you guys. We have a ton of people in the queue also, so I'll do a roll call and let you guys know who we have. As always, I appreciate your guys' patience. We take the readings in the order that they came in, and we have a ton of people. But before I get into that, is there any level 3 members that are wanting to cash in on their reading this week? Let me know if you're here. What's up, Kelsey? Hey, Divinely Guided. Hey, Micah. Hey, Zelo. Maria, how's it going? She says, congrats on the 30K, big deal. Well, I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I never thought that we were gonna get that kind of growth, so it's nice to see that. We hit that right around the new year. Tarot with Lisa says, hello, new to the channel, first time watching from Memphis. Well, I was just in your neighborhood a couple weeks ago. Memphis was awesome. What's up, Victoria? She says, yes, me, 3. Okay. Let me know if you want to cash in on your reading. If you don't, no worries. We will be back next week. We're going to be doing astrology. So that's the beauty of being a member. I don't know if you guys know that I have memberships on my channel. There's 3 different levels. Level 1, you can just get in and support the channel if you like my long form content, if you appreciate my horoscopes and my monthly reports and all the other stuff in between. Level 2, you're going to get a shout out. And level 3, you are going to get a reading with me once a month as a part of your membership, and it's a great way to be able to stay in touch and get regular readings, and you can choose between tarot and astrology. All of the donations that go for these readings, those of you guys who buy like my transit calendars, or maybe you join my memberships, all of that makes it possible for me to be a full-time content creator. We're a team of 2. You don't see all of us, but you just see me, the face. But there is 2 of us that work really hard on the channel. We work full time to be able to put out 4 high quality videos, including this one, per week. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel, now is a good time to do it. Click the bell button below and check out our really long horoscopes. We also have all kinds of stuff on like the eclipses. We do weekly astro weather and much, much more. So we bring a lot to you guys on YouTube because of your donation. So I appreciate it. Kit Keeb says, I'd like to cash in on my reading. I just paid for PayPal 3 cards. Well, I've got you. So this is basically how it works. If you know you want to get a reading, scan that QR code. It's going to take you to my PayPal where you can get in the queue. I have got a whole ton of people here, so I'm going to let you guys know who I've got. I know when we get a lot of people, we have a lot of people that come in that go, I just paid, did you get my reading? Did you get my reading? Don't worry. I will let you guys know as we go. But here's who I have so far. So we've got, outside of the level 3 people, Danielle, Kimberly, Tamika, Palace of Persephone, Iram, Angeli, Matthew, Asha, Vanessa, Rona, Heba, Adriana, Isabella. I know we've got a couple other people here. Hold on. And then we have Catherine. So if you heard your name, I have you in the queue. Generally, I'll call about 2 or 3 names out in advance so you guys know if you're on deck. Please make sure you put your information in the memo before I do your reading. And please don't forget to like this video. Thank you, Magdalene. Appreciate the support. I like it. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to get started with some of our first readings. We'll see what Victoria says. She doesn't know her question yet, but give you 15 minutes to think about it. Okay, sounds good. So we're going to do Danielle, Kimberly, and Tamika. You guys are going to be the first ones on deck. And Danielle has a 3-card reading for $40. She says, 3 cards for alive. Hi, Candace. Will there be a reconciliation with the person I love and miss? It's been 9 months. Let's take a look. So is Danielle going to have a reconciliation with the person that she's thinking of? It's been a long 9 months before they have connected, or since they have connected. What can you tell me about this connection? Will they reconcile? In this order. So we've got the Chariot, the Justice card, and the 3 of Wands. Well, these are some promising cards here. It looks like, in my opinion, like the door is open. So it does look like it's possible for a reconciliation. We start first with the Chariot card. So the Chariot represents some kind of forward motion, some kind of action. That in the previous position and being a major arcana, it feels like whatever's been going on in the past has seemed like a little chaotic, or that things were kind of spinning out of control, or the direction that things were going in maybe feels like the wheels were kind of falling off a little bit. I'm wondering if there's like a sense of maybe feeling as if like the relationship was a little rushed, or that you guys were heading in a direction a little bit too fast. The Chariot also talks about your intuition and letting your intuition be your guide. So sometimes it talks about your dreams, your feelings, visions that you're having, readings that you're getting. That can be indicating or alluding to the fact that you might find your way back to each other. It might also be an opportunity for you to really ask yourself, like, what is your intuition telling you? Do you think it's possible that there is a reunion? Do you feel like you have unfinished business? Because that's kind of the feeling that I get with that card coming up with the Justice card. So these are both major arcana, you know, so when I have a 3-card spread and we have several, it seems that there's some very important lessons that are being learned here, or some very important themes. The Chariot card pertains to the moon or to Cancer. So something you might want to be thinking about is, like, as we are coming into maybe eclipses involving the moon in Libra, we're going to have a Libra lunar eclipse at the end of March. So I kind of feel like this could be some like timing for you to be paying attention to when there's like some big decisions that are being made, and kind of feeling like whether or not the door is going to close. The Justice card is a card that does talk about justice and balance within relationships, but it also talks about cause and effect. So this is a card that talks about like karma and whether or not you're working something out karmically. This can also talk about really taking a step back and asking yourself, like, is this a relationship that's potentially in balance? Was there a need for both of you guys to kind of take a step back, recenter and ground yourselves, really think about what you're looking for in relationships, and give yourself an opportunity to heal and reflect on the experiences that you've had before you come back together. So the Justice card in the center does kind of say, like, there is some stuff that still needs to be cleared up between you guys, that possibly you have the opportunity to kind of balance things out, to be able to come back together and to be a better kind of, like, it would be like better timing, if that makes sense. Anyway, so then we've got the three of Wands coming up. This card can talk about like the door being open, like being optimistic. It does talk about like a window that may be closing at some point, where if something doesn't happen within a certain time frame, then you're going to kind of pick up and move on. But this is generally a card that's about hope and optimism. So it's kind of being like, okay, yeah, you haven't spoken in X amount of months, but being optimistic about the fact that it is possible that you guys can reconnect, but it's not going to be about reminiscing or getting focused on the past. It's more about being like, okay, whatever happened, happened. It led us to this moment. You know, now we're able to really sit with this and ask ourselves, you know, have we learned the lessons necessary in order to be stronger together? And where can we go from here? So it's leaving things kind of open-ended with that Three of Wands. Confirmation card is the Eight of Coins. So that tells me that for the confirmation, it's like saying like, you can proceed forward. There is a possibility of you being able to reconcile and discussing the future, but there's still going to be a lot of work to be done, or it might feel like it's requiring a lot of effort on both of your ends in order to facilitate, you know, working through some of these karmic lessons in relationships. One thing I will say is that, you know, this makes me feel like it's also asking yourself really to ask yourself, do you really want to go back there? Do you feel like it was like too tedious trying to make this work? Were you trying to push for something that you felt like, you know, the other person wasn't meeting you halfway? Where was there something that was out of balance? And if you guys are going to come together, both of you guys have to be willing to pull your weight and do the work in order to move forward. So the door is open. Like I feel like the door 100% is open. But going back doesn't necessarily mean that the situation is going to be any different. So it's trying to get you to really reassess whether or not you want to continue these cycles, and also to really have an understanding between the two of you that you're not going to focus on the past. You're going to talk about solutions moving forward and what you could be building in the future. Okay? Good luck. Obviously, we're going to see a lot of this in March and April as we're approaching eclipse season, which is going to be in Libra and Aries. And with that North Node in Aries, everybody's feeling the effects with that eclipse at the beginning of April of having to heal themselves. Kelsey, let me take a look. Let me see if I've got you. I believe I do. I've got Alana and Simone that snuck in there. And Kelsey, I have you as well. You are in there. All right, so that was for Danielle. We've got Kimberly, Tamika, and Palace of Persephone. You guys are all on deck. What's up, Jane? Thank you for your support. Thanks, Kit. All right, so we've got Kimberly, who says, 3-card pull for me on the 19th. General reading, please. Kim, divinely guided. Virgo sun, Virgo rising, Scorpio moon. Born on the 16th. All right, Victoria, let me know what your question is. I'll take you next. This is for you, Kimberly. So let's see what the general reading says for you. In this order, we've got the Nine of Cups, the Judgment card, and the Empress. Is it going to be a double arcana kind of night? I feel like we're going to see a lot of this. Well, I love this for you. I feel like the Empress and the Judgment card is about self-preservation, self-love, making big decisions revolving around like putting yourself first and going after your goals. I think about like the astrology of the Virgo rising chart recently, like the last month or so, and it's been a bit of a doozy. Having had like Mercury go retrograde in your 4th house, perhaps having you reevaluate the past home, family, or maybe something in regards to your mother. So I'm wondering, like, has there been mom stuff, relationship to your roots, connection to, you know, understanding more about your home and security, and also just taking better care of yourself, right? So much of the retrograde can be about that because it started in your 5th house. But the Empress card can be about really focusing on nurturing, taking care of, loving, and also experiencing like life and growth And abundance, this is a card that's associated with Venus. You see that she's got Venus that's connected to her shield. Everything around her is like growing. The wreath, the growth or the wheat that's at her feet also talks about like resources. And so what you are growing, what you are actually kind of nurturing and developing for yourself that can give you security or like sustenance. Okay, she says, mom issues surfaced for the first time in my life. Okay, well, here's the thing that's positive about this is that, you know, the Judgment card coming up is saying, maybe you're realizing that, you know, you don't have to be black and white when it comes to your relationship with family. Maybe it means that you're learning to not be as critical or not as judgmental of the women in your life or of yourself. And this is also about like the roosters coming home to roost, right? Whenever I see the Judgment card, it's kind of like whatever's coming up right now is coming up for evaluation, and it's like almost resurrecting in our life because it's something that needs to be acknowledged before it's finally put to rest. Doesn't surprise me, you know, with the retrograde, and the Judgment card is basically saying this awareness can be an opportunity for you to kind of go like, okay, I need to acknowledge it and heal that, and then, you know, kind of put it to rest and let it go. The Judgment card is also saying what's coming up now is an effect of previous, you know, situations or previous, you know, issues that you have had with your home or your family, or maybe unresolved issues ancestrally. And then you have the Nine of Cups coming up. So this is basically saying like you have the opportunity to be able to come out the other side. I feel like you're learning something very valuable. You're able to figure out more of what you do want in regards to your home and your relationship to family. I do feel like the outcome is very positive because the Nine of Cups represents kind of feeling accomplished in whatever you've been able to kind of complete, especially emotionally. So you'll be able to move through it, and maybe you'll have like a better appreciation or a better understanding for the sacrifices that moms have to make, or maybe more compassion or more empathy, because the Nine of Cups can be about having a better understanding of like what's going to make you happy. And what's also, you know, what sacrifices maybe a parent has made, and like where they haven't been perfect, but they were trying to kind of put you first. And I do feel like the outcome, even though there is a sense of having to work through some of these blockages, is generally pretty positive, because the Nine of Cups is definitely one of the cards that we want to get. So whatever you're kind of going through in regards to this stuff, know that it's coming up because it needs to be recognized. It's an opportunity for you to be able to heal what can be some ancestral, you know, conditioning or patterns or things that have kind of been passed down. Maybe the awareness is everything to help you kind of break through the other side and figure out how you can have happiness outside of maybe continuing some of these patterns that you have seen with your family. So many light colors. Everything really is about life and joy and how you can make the most of it, that I don't really feel like you're going to get stuck in a rut. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Definitely a lot is revealed about our relationship to home and family when we see some of those really significant retrogrades in the 4th house. She says, I'm working on self-love and discovering real love for the first time. I have natal Venus in Leo in the 12th. Venus retrograde has helped so much. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I hope that you continue on with like the healing process and things go a lot better for you. Definitely healing the mom wound is really, really important for really the relationship that you have with yourself, right? All right, so we've got Victoria. What's up, Robbie? Hi, you and Janners. Hey, Asha. Hey, Eve. Okay, Victoria says, my new business partnership, 9-month-old, good so far. Ask the cards about my career change to HR consulting and the Cancer woman who is the partner. What do I need to know? Aries sun, Cat moon, Virgo rising. I really feel like for Virgo risings too, Pluto going into Aquarius is definitely going to be like a really big shift for you in terms of like, not just the working environment, but who you're working with. There could be new teams and partnerships that are coming up with that as well, which can really help you feel more productive if you have like the support of another person. All right, so let's see what you need to know about maybe moving into this HR consulting position and your partner. Ooh, Seven of coins really wanted to jump out there. It's interesting. Like, do you have I mean, I know we've spoken a lot about some of the work that you've done, but you've primarily worked independently, right? Like, you've primarily worked alone. There's been a lot of you like transcribing your books and doing other things with your consulting and stuff. There hasn't been a lot of like you working in a partnership. There's been a lot of you offering services to people, but not a lot of doing something as a part of like a pair or a team, right? That Seven of Coins kind of popped out. So I really feel like the reason why it was jumping out is probably because it's saying like, you're saying, okay, let's see how this goes. Like, I'm going to invest a little bit of time or energy into this new potential occupation or this new job. And you're going to plant some seeds and you're going to see if your flowers grow, right? The Seven of Coins is about being a little unsure as to whether or not something is going to end up being fruitful. But you have to be willing to take the chance and spend the time and continue to prune that as best you can. I do feel like that is probably giving you like also like a working time of so many months. So when I think about, Virgo risings, Jupiter is going to go into Gemini in your 10th house next year. I think somewhere around like May, June. So when you see that transition, it can mean that you're juggling more than one position, or there is some kind of expansion at work, or maybe you're working 2 jobs. So, that plus this saying it's going to take about 7 months, you probably want to give it until mid this year to see how some of that stuff plays out. I do also feel like the Two of Cups is about moving from being like, okay, you've been super hyper focused on what am I doing and what am I working on for me? And now you're pulling back a little bit and you're learning how to work in a relationship and a partnership with another person, which I think is really good with Saturn going into your 7th house in Pisces. I think that can be a wonderful way of using that, where you have the support of somebody who can kind of help you be more like the vision. If you are more like the idea person and you're putting everything together and kind of like wrapping everything up, you can have somebody who's kind of helping you give that emotional support as a part of like a professional team. It's good for clients and stuff too. But right now, you're being asked to show up in relationship and partnership and bring something to the table where you can give support and you can also receive support. So the lesson is how to work in a relationship. The final card that you get is the Seven of Swords. And so the feeling that I get with this is that you're willing to give this an opportunity to see how it plays out. I think your biggest challenge is going to be not being the person who's carrying the brunt of the work, or not being the person who's doing everything. Being cautious, seeing, feeling it out, seeing, is this a good match? Do you want to do this type of work? Do you want to work with this person? And also, I think a lot of this is about being able to find somebody who can kind of help share the workload. So you're feeling like you're not just working 24/7 and worrying about, whether things are going to pan out. You have somebody who you can kind of like play off of to help you with that process of feeling like, you're building something and you don't have to be working 24/7. So you have support. Victoria says, I'm cautious, big risk, big wins, 2 cups. That's lovely. I'm learning much. And I thought I'd get a husband, but no, another biz. She's a good woman. Well, I mean, part of that also is, Saturn is still, wait until other planets come into conjunction with Saturn, like Mercury, Saturn, Venus, Saturn. You'll see that with like the eclipses. What I love about Virgo rising right now is the eclipses in your 8th house. So it's about, bringing in more money that, can come from working with another person and having your piece of the pie. Give it a shot. I think it's worth a try, especially because I think that it's going to be nice to have a little bit more like rest and recuperation and not having to be like the person who's like the shell answer man. Confirmation card that I got for you was the 10 of Cups. So I do feel like you're going to be emotionally fulfilled with this. Also building off of like potentially doing HR stuff, this makes me feel like, you can do HR work for other people, that if you want a position in that, or if you want to do that type of work, it looks like it may be offered or presented to you. I feel like you would do very well with it, but you also might feel like it's very draining, because that 4 of Swords can mean like, okay, like after you're doing so much work with other people, at the end of the day, you're like, I just need some peace and quiet, and I need to kind of unwind because there's been too much of me kind of digging through other people's things. So be mindful that there can be a little bit of feeling like emotionally drained, because there's just so much of you kind of working through some of that stuff with other people. Think of it similarly to like being a counselor or being a therapist, or like working in an area where you're just constantly emotionally on. So there is going to be a need for you to be more mindful of your rest and your personal routine, so that way you're not feeling drained by constantly, having that outpouring of connection to other people. Anyway, hope that's helpful. And it looks like working with other people is going to go well. Thank you for being a level 3 member. We've got Tamika, Palace of Persephone, Aram, and Angeli. You guys are all next up. All right, so we'll get Tamika in a second here. Robbie says, we're at conveyor belt sushi watching the live while Celine Dion's Titanic theme is blasting in the restaurant. I hope you guys are singing. What's up, Mika? Didn't put a question when I made the donation, sorry. Just looking for a general reading. Aqua Sun, Aries Moon, Libra Rising. Thanks so much. All right, we'll take a look. Just a general reading. Deanna says, just wanted to say hi. You're right about this week's reading. I'm tired and busy. Have events booked out to March. My full time is so busy. Love it. Hey, MJ. Here, Aram. I'll be with you soon. Let's see what the cards say for Tamika's general reading. She's a Libra rising, Aries moon, just like me. But her sun is in Aquarius. So let's see what the cards say for you. For you, Tamika. In this order, there's that 3 of Wands, again, 10 of Wands, 5 of Cups. My goodness, my dear. For me, I'm wondering, like, what's going on? 3 of Wands, 10 of Wands. So this can be kind of like an indication that you've been, like, running yourself a bit ragged. 10 of Wands is about, like, forward motion, keeping your eyes open, focusing on some of your goals, taking action, new creative projects, or new things that you're actually like trying to complete. And then the 10 of Wands, so it's like, okay, there's always something on your list of things that you have to do. Maybe feeling a little run down or overwhelmed with something that you've been trying to tackle or something that you've been trying to take care of, which is leading to feeling a little bit more run down emotionally or feeling like a little stuck emotionally. Libra rising chart right now, there's a ton of planets going through your 4th house. So the sun has been there, Pluto is there, Mars is there, Venus is going to be there soon. So for me, it almost seems as if you're like feeling a little discouraged or feeling a little down or feeling stuck in regards to a home or family matter. Maybe you feel like you start making a little bit of headway and then something comes up and you're like, okay, now it's making it harder for me to move or to buy a house or get out of the house or get out of this family situation. And it seems like it's kind of like making you be in your feelings a little bit. Oof, I've been trying to save up to relocate away from home. There you go. I didn't see your comment. Okay, so, literally it's like, with the 5 of Cups, I always tell my clients, like, be very careful when this card comes up because you can get stuck in that situation of being like super mopey and not being able to pull yourself out of it. The 3 of Cups that is spilled in front of him represents like opportunities that have passed you by, or maybe, reminiscing too much about the past or thinking about the past and getting stuck there. What he fails to see is the 2 of Cups that's behind him that's being offered to him. So it's saying like opportunities will be offered to you. Things will be coming your way to help you kind of get out of the situation where you've been feeling stuck. Likely it's going to require the support of other people. I personally think about Mars being in your 4th house, and I think about eclipses in your 7th house with your moon. Regardless of your emotion, regardless of your relationship status, so much of like the Mars, Mercury stuff in the 4th house is going to be kind of purging out some of your subconscious fears around your home and your living situations. But it's also supposed to be welcoming support with this situation. So like, for example, Mars rules your moon and also your 7th house. So getting support from a coach, getting a reading, having a partner who steps in and says, hey, like, come and stay with me for a little bit. Or, hey, like, a friend that says, hey, let's go and look for apartments together. Let's find a space. Maybe you have a female friend that comes in or somebody from work, because the moon is connected to your 10th house, where they say, hey, you know what, like, you know, let's find a place together, or I know somebody who's got a place that can rent to you. Somebody who's going to be motivating and either offering you an opportunity or trying to kind of incentivize you to kind of come and stay with them. But support is being offered to you as the eclipses are in your 7th house and it's around your moon. So you're going to have people who will be willing to help you with the living situation. I feel like right now you're just very run down. And with that 3 of Wands and the 10 of Wands, if you are continually spinning your wheels and you're not working smarter, you're working harder, you're going to feel like you're in this never-ending cycle where you're just not getting out of it. The last retrograde was meant to kind of teach you where all of the things that you didn't like about your home were coming up so you can make some kind of shift. You've got eclipses that are going to be coming up in the spring. It's going to be around your moon. So if you want to make a change in your living situation, then you can. I personally feel like this is supposed to be a time where I'm not putting it on relationships, but like partners are supposed to be showing up for you, basically being like, I can help you if you need help. Because Aries is, you know, like fire, and it's about kind of showing up and being the first and being the protector. So you're supposed to be seeing women who are like, come stay with me, or romantic partners who are coming in and saying like, hey, I've got you. So if you're feeling down, it's about, you know, letting other people know that you're kind of in a rut and that you need some motivation or that you need some support to kind of help get you where you're going. Do not stay in this place. It's very important that if you stay there, it's going to be harder for you to get out of it. Confirmation card is the Page of Pentacles. So it is saying new financial opportunities are on the way. Maybe somebody who is going to help you with getting into a new space, or who is going to help you when it comes to some financial or some business dealings. So that way you can get ahead and make the process easier. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Mika. Sending you lots of good home vibes when it comes to finding your new space. Definitely a big theme for Libra risings this year. Pluto's about to leave your 4th house as well. So there's definitely a change on the horizon. We've got Persephone, Aram, Angeli, and Kelsey. If you guys are just tuning in, scan the QR code if you'd like to get a reading. You can get on the queue and get a reading with me if you'd like. All right, so we've got Palace of Persephone. I like that name. She says, aloha, Candace, 19 degrees, Cappy rising, Neptune, Uranus conjunct. Whoa. Cancer sun, Libra moon, Jupiter here. Holy cow. Are you born in the late 80s, early 90s? Libra moon and Jupiter. I take that back. So you're probably either a little bit older or a little bit younger. I've been trying to, let's see, where's your question? I've been trying to grow my spiritually based YouTube channel since 2019. I let it go last Lithia and made a new channel on my phone. I would love clarity if I will ever see my videos growing, helping others, as well as supporting myself financially, or if my Saturn return is saying not now. I am determined not to go back to the 9-to-5 matrix and share my light like I came here to do. Thank you for the clarity. I love that. 93. Okay. I was like, wow. Well, you got so much cardinal in your chart. One thing that I really love, and I would really recommend listening to my astro weather this week, because I talk very explicitly about how we're going to see Mercury and Mars come into conjunction in Capricorn at 18 degrees. And then it's going to square the nodes, that this is like a week for showing up, right? For like showing up, even if it's scary, for showing up. So I think it's going to make you very determined. Like you, I was very determined to escape the 9-to-5 matrix. So I feel inclined to tell you to keep going. And I think you're going to definitely see just being a Capricorn rising, you know, with the eclipses that are taking place in Aries and in Libra, it's trying to get you to change stuff about what you're doing at work and like bringing more of that home. And then also being a Cancer, you know, that you're hearing all of the eclipses about Aries is about your career. So it's trying to kind of help you build something from home. And you definitely have like a lot of support to make that happen. And if you were born in 93, you're in the middle of your Saturn return more or less still. So the truth is that this is the year that you kind of make magic happen. You just happen to kind of get hit with a Neptune transit at the same time, and you've got some Pluto stuff that's still going on. So let's see what the cards say. What do the cards say for you in terms of what the future looks like with growing your YouTube channel? Ha! I get the Ace of Swords with the 10 of Coins as the confirmation card. So I love that. You know, I really feel like the Ace of Swords is saying that, yes, okay, information, sharing knowledge, deciphering, right? This can all be like Ace of Sword things, but it can be writing, it could be blogging, it could be teaching. All of those things can be coming up for you. And I really feel like it's about having your voice heard. So I like that you're like, I want to share my light, but I feel like it's going to be about educating other people. It's going to be sharing messages with other people. I wonder if it's about, Saturn going through your third house and you're starting like a subscription-based service where, you're sending out something where people subscribe and they pay $5 a month for your insights. And, you send out those emails regularly, because I feel like that's really something that you would see with the Ace of Swords. It's just really showing up and like doing that regular writing or that, teaching or that educating or that connecting. And that you're building on that. You're going to see over the next couple of years, Saturn and Neptune will come into conjunction, which means like you're really honing in on your ability to decipher the messages that are coming in. Channeling, tarot, astrology, all of these things are possible. But it also might be that you like pick up an interest in meditation, or you're doing some kind of work revolving around divination, because the third house can be your hands. So really, the list goes on and on. But, oh, you've been writing ebooks. Okay, cool. Like, this is one of the ways, or one of the main ways, that I think you're really going to make your mark. And I feel very strongly that the universe is bringing all of these outer planets to the bottom part of your chart, because it wants you to be home and it wants you to do that work, closer to your home base. Keep writing, focusing on being able to maybe promote some of what you're doing. So that way, some of that Saturn transit in your third house can also be about media, websites, other things to kind of get your information out there. And obviously a great way to do that is going to be through, through a YouTube channel. So yes, I do see you doing that. When I think of Ace of Swords, it's about making that commitment to consistency and doing something swiftly. So maybe it's also about like making more of an effort to be on there at the same time or more regularly, or to be kind of checking in. Maybe it's like doing lives and things like that. So you can be working more consistently with your channel and delivering messages more frequently. Like, something clicked for me when I was like, okay, I can put out a really great video and it might get, several thousand hits, but unless I'm doing that regularly, it's not going to work. So it kind of had to make the jump to being like, okay, I'm going to pick the days that I'm going to put out my videos, and then the consistency and the timing. Really, it's just, one of the best ways to build a YouTube channel is to put out content the same day, the same time, to get your audience kind of used to seeing your content, and it's just going to grow from there if you're willing to put in the work and to be dedicated. It's that simple. Unless you're like a cat that plays the keyboard, or a 6-year-old that has some like freakishly good talent, like consistency is generally what's going to kind of help you get there. I also channel light language. Cool, I like that. And Reiki as well, so spot on. The consistency and lives have been things that I've been contemplating. Thank you for confirmation. I mean, it's going to pay off. Hard work and determination. At the end of the day, it looks like this could be something that can give you that long-term support and stability that you're kind of looking to achieve. And once you have that audience, it's so much easier to be able to have that crossover and then, sell your books and the other things that you're doing, right? So good luck with that. Give us a shout out for your channel so people can see where we can find you. I've got Aram, Angeli, Kelsey, Ruth, Angeli R, Matthew, Asha, Vanessa, Rona, Heba, Adriana, Isabella, Catherine, Simone, Alana. Who else slipped in here? Somebody's asking me to give you guys a rundown. And Emiko, Alyssa sent 2 questions, and Chandra and Yuzavi. So we're going to close, if we haven't already, we're going to close this out because we have a number of you guys. So thank you guys for your donations. So if you heard your name, you've been called. Good luck, Persephone. Ira, Angeli, and Kelsey Cook, you guys are all on deck. I've got Aram who says, I'm starting a new job in February at a small startup tech company. Will this move help my career growth? I'm an Aquarius rising, Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Mercury. Holy cow. Pluto will conjunct my Jupiter at 2 degrees this year. Well, that's a money degree, my dude. I mean, I really feel like Aquarius rising, you know, depending if it's 12th or 1st house, the Pluto transits are really activating, doing a lot of work behind the scenes, and like working at a tech company with the Pluto Aquarius stuff, I think is really wonderful. So let's see. Final call if you guys want to get in the queue. Into this order. What is the jump that you're making? Like, what is the jump that you're making here? Because to me, it seems like there's options or there's choices. Or you're kind of like racking your brain about being like, okay, am I going to do okay in this situation? Is it very starkly different than what you're used to kind of like working in? Are you taking like a leap of faith by going into this type of business? Like, what's the deal here? That 9 of Swords seems like stressed out about whether or not it's going to actually like, you know, go off without a hitch. So the cards that I get for you are the Lovers, the 7 of Coins, and the 9 of Swords. Confirmation card is the Justice card. So for me, I think really the question is not whether or not it's going to be successful. There may be a sense of being like, you know, can I trust this employer? Can I trust this industry? Maybe some concern about turnover as to whether or not, you know, people stay in these positions for very long, or if these companies are up and running and stable for very long. There can be some concerns around these things. The Lovers card talks more about options and choices. So it can talk about, you know, making the decision to go in this direction, to work in this field, or to work for this company. Maybe one of several that you were kind of looking at or that you were applying to. It may also talk about keeping your options open, that you have a multitude of different options of types of work that you could potentially do, that, you know, the door is not completely closed. So if you wanted to go in this direction and give this a shot, there will be other opportunities for you. But what I think about the Lovers card is that it's also about temptation and taking a risk and doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, and going towards something more because of passion, less because of like financial, you know, incentives. 7 of Coins talks about working hard, reassessing and reevaluating whether or not this is worth your time. What I will say about 7 of Coins in this position is that if you play your cards right, and if it's something that ends up being productive and lucrative, it could do very well and it could end up really working in your favor. But this does seem to represent a bit of like a sacrifice. So it can be, well, I'm going into like a smaller company. I'm maybe not getting as competitive of a salary, but there is a lot of opportunity for growth. And, you know, maybe you get in there and see how it does. And then depending on, you know, the performance of the company, you might find that it ends up benefiting you quite a bit. I think that the 9 of Swords really is saying that, you know, you have to let your fears or your concerns go. Like, you can't put yourself in a position where you're basically saying more or less like, okay, you know, what if it doesn't work? Or what if it doesn't take off? Or what if the company, you know, folds? Like, you don't have control over these things. So I would not be wasting time over things that you have no control over. I feel like I wouldn't be stressing any of these things. You know, the confirmation card was the Justice card. So it's saying that like there's a lot of support, or maybe there's a decent amount of investments, or, you know, people who are actually supporting this company and they want to see it through. I feel like the relationships and the support that you can get quite literally through, you know, the working relationships and the people that you're kind of connecting with is also very positive, because you might feel like, you're getting appreciation and you're getting the feedback for what you need in regards to your position. So people are going to be telling you like, hey, not only are you doing a good job, but like, I appreciate what you're doing. So there can be an opportunity to really foster some really great working relationships and partnerships in this position as well. Don't stress about what you don't know. That's the best advice I can give you. Stay with it, especially because I feel like some of the breakthroughs are really going to be happening closer to the summer of next year. And, you know, for what you're not potentially making in salary, what you're going to get on the back end is you're going to see that you're going to really foster these relationships with people who are going to see that you stood by them, you supported building the company, and like people aren't going to forget that. And I really feel like this is a company where you can kind of grow with it. There are stock options, which can be the upside if the company grows. So there you go. I've worked in big companies, and this one is only 50 employees, and everything is being built here. So, you know, be more optimistic about where things are going, because I do see a lot of reinvesting in, you know, the people who are willing to kind of work with them and grow the business. And I kind of feel like from May on, that's when you're really going to see some of the things that are going to be developing in a big way. I definitely think it's a good move, and the investments that you're getting with the stocks and also just the relationships that you're making are going to be very valuable. Good luck. Yeah, they're taking a risk with that one, you know, definitely taking a risk. We've got Angeli R. And I think she was at the beginning here. Angeli says, hey, it's been a while. I made 2 separate PayPal transactions. Just letting you know there are 2. However, I may not prefer to combine them. I don't know what would be best. Looking forward to this. Okay, cool. Well, it's nice to see you again, Angeli. You're welcome, Aram. Good luck. All right, so Angeli, you've got 2 questions. I'm going to do the first one. Will my boyfriend and I live together again this year, but in North Carolina? He moved to North Carolina for school, and I have plans to join him, but I'm not sure when. Well, Angeli has a boyfriend. Look at that. Let's take a look. Let's see. So, will she be living with her boyfriend this year? If so, what does that look like? All right, so we're looking at like fire months, okay? So April, July, and then like November going into December. So Aries season, Leo season, and Sagittarius season. Intuitively though, usually this is the card that I see as we're getting into like the springtime. So usually it's like wands, cups, swords, and then coins. So, you know, that seems pretty fast, but the Ace of Wands is like, okay, we're doing it now. It's like striking a match. So, you know, it is possible that this can be you talking about, you know, the beginning process of planning, moving, or movement as early as April going into May. I do feel like for you, this is also about you going like, okay, a lot of this depends on what's going on with my work, because this can be about the action revolving around what you're having to do or what you're having to complete or get done before you can make this happen. Remind me, what's your rising sign again? I know that if I remember correctly, you're Pisces. You have a bunch of Pisces, but I'm trying to remember your rising sign. Let me know. But yeah, I think that you're going to be moving during one of the fire months, and likely what you'll see is probably sometime, you know, right about spring going into summer is when you're able to kind of make the move. I know that March and April can be kind of busy for you in your business. He's basically living with me, started as soon as we met. Oh, I love that. Okay, so Gemini rising. So Jupiter's going to cross your ascendant. Sag is your 7th house. And one thing you're going to see is with Jupiter on your ascendant, like May, June, and then you're going to have a retrograde in your 4th house, which is going to be in August, September. Likely that's going to be the move. Okay. And Pluto's trining your ascendant. So that's like so awesome. Jupiter trine Pluto. So it's really great for, you know, obviously like traveling, but also it can be really great for, you know, positive things shifting in regards to your relationships, right? But yeah, it's looking like you're starting the process as early as like spring. So I'm wondering, like, maybe you're like, okay, let's get the show on the road. You know, it's like harder for us to be apart. And then the other question that you had was also in regards to your boyfriend. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. My boyfriend and I have been fighting a lot the last 2 days. He just moved 2 weeks ago to North Carolina, and I'm going back on Tuesday to visit. Though fighting long distance feels more awful, of course, than of course in person does. Will our relationship strengthen due to the circumstances? He is a Libra sun, Gemini moon, and he's either an Aquarius or a Pisces rising. Okay, so Libra sun, Gemini moon, and the rising sign is either Aqua or Pisces. So he's got, you know, Saturn somewhere probably around his first house, or Pluto. So that defining himself outside of relationship with other people, the opposition to the 7th. And I could see Libra suns having a challenging time because of the eclipses in the 7th house to the sun in Aries. So let's see. I've got both of your guys' info here. You guys are kind of squabbling a little bit, but let's see. Are things going to get better? I feel like this is the tarot being like really sassy with you, because this is the card for Geminis. So we've got the Lovers card, which kind of talks about, on one hand, like, that's what happens, right? When there's a lot of like passion and stuff in a relationship, there can definitely sometimes be some challenges, some conflicts. And that's kind of like part of the territory of like having this dynamic where you have a really intense, like, you know, connection, chemistry, attraction to another person. But this is also talking about like both parties being at a turning point where decisions are having to be made about the relationship, and you're trying to figure out, okay, you know, do we go here or do we go there? You know, if I make this decision, you know, where is it going to lead us? And, you know, kind of questioning, maybe because there's some distance, like it can be bringing up like, you know, how committed are we, or how are we going to be able to kind of make this work? Here's the deal. I do feel like the confirmation card, being the 3 of coins, is saying that if you love something, you're going to work hard at it, and you're going to do what it takes to be able to make sure that the relationship can survive whatever is being thrown at you. 3 of coins talks about working as a team, and sometimes that means that you bring in a third person who could give you advice, or who can work with the 2 of you guys, or give you guys both some kind of support. So it can be like therapy, but I see this more as being like being a team player, and saying like, hey, I don't want to fight about who's right or wrong. I want to focus more on, you know, what we can accomplish together, because you're really prioritizing and putting the relationship first. And I also feel like you may find that coming together and seeing each other, there is more pressing matters in terms of your intimate connections, rather than like fighting, because I really feel like this can be a really great card for seeing each other after not seeing each other for a long time, that the opportunity to kind of like reconnect and smooth things over can get things kind of back on track, to where you're like, it doesn't matter what we were fighting about. Like, obviously we're both frustrated because of the situation and like the stress, given the fact that you guys are on, you know, maybe 2 different time zones, 2 different states, and it can be stressful for a relationship. But ultimately, like, maybe it can give you guys something to be able to kind of work on while you're apart, you know? And if you're working through therapy, I mean, that can be that third person. I also feel like, you know, yeah, the fights can be different when it's long distance, because like you're having an argument and then somebody hangs up on somebody, or you guys leave things kind of open-ended, and it's not like you can go to that person and sit down and like talk about it and like smooth it over, you know? There can be this like looming feeling of like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. Like, how is this gonna affect things? But I really feel like the togetherness and the making up is going to kind of like smooth a lot of this stuff over. And if anything, maybe the frustration of like being apart, you know, this is incentivizing both of you guys to kind of speed up the process with being able to physically be together and moving closer together. So exciting as Jupiter's crossing your ascendant. You know, Jupiter rules your 7th house. So when it's on your ascendant with Venus in like May, like there's a lot of togetherness. So I think that you'll be surprised just how quickly you guys kind of come back together, and really find ways to be able to, you know, build on your relationship. So I think it's going to get a lot better. I don't think you have anything to worry about. Hopefully that's helpful. Congrats on finding a man, girl. Making up loud. Hey, Arlene. Arlene's from Philly. She says, love your readings always. Thank you. What's up, Janners? I saw Janners said, I need help. What did you say? What was it? I need some advice. What is your question, Janners? All right, so we've got Matthew, Asha, and Vanessa. You guys are all next. Matthew, V, Asha, and Vanessa. All right, let's see what Matthew says. Hey, Candace. Am I reading the right one? Oh, no. Okay, there we go. Hey, Candace. I have some Oh my goodness. This is like a Mercury retrograde moment. All the messages are getting mixed up. Okay, here we go. So I have 2 questions. In a few weeks, I'm heading back to New York City to meet up with some friends. The last time I was there, I hung out with this really cool guy at his apartment who we had a great time with. He gave me a book he recommended to read and his number. Should I reach out to him about potentially hanging out with me and my friends when I'm back there? I finished the book and really enjoyed it, so I'm thinking of using that as my starter. Also, my other question, sorry, my computer's being weird. My other question is about my ex who's still texting me often out of the blue to see how I'm doing or talk about hanging out in the future. What are his intentions? Does he really just want to be friends, or is he wanting something? Is he just trying to reach out to stroke his ego? The energy is confusing, but I do respond to his messages and care about him. Your message got cut off a little bit. Okay, so hung out with the dude in New York City. He recommended a book. You read it. You like it. You want to use that as your in, but you're hearing from your ex and you're wondering what to do. It's okay. I was just trying to read all of it, you know? Thank you, Inspired. I will take a look. Anna. All right, so let's take a look and see what we can answer for Matthew about all of these man things. Let's see. All right. Bump, bump, bump. Okay, so in these situations, I really feel like part of it can be because there's 2 questions. So personally, I kind of get the impression this is saying like ending one thing and beginning another, right? Like ending one thing, completing it, beginning another. I don't get any really bad vibes about like connecting with that other person, but it's saying like you have to wrap up one chapter before moving forward. Even if you guys aren't together, you and your ex, the Tower card and the 8 of Swords seems to kind of indicate like, you know, that situation has already fallen. Like that's already kind of fallen apart. It's not necessarily a safe or a secure structure. There isn't really a lot to go back to. You can connect, but really what you're going to feel is that like that situation is not necessarily going to make you feel good going back to it. You may feel like you're stuck and unable to, you know, really move forward, or like reopening that wound of being around each other in such a different dynamic. Now that you're no longer together, it can be like uncomfortable, or you can feel like it's hard to be able to connect or communicate efficiently. 8 of Swords. And then we have the 7 of Wands, the 7 of Coins, which can mean like you going like, why did I find myself here? What am I doing here? Like what you might ask yourself, like, why is he asking me to hang out? You know, or I talk to him and I reconnect with him, or I see him and like something's off and it just kind of feels weird. For me, the World card being the confirmation card is like, you know, either wrap up that situation, be done with the past, wash your hands of whatever's gone on. Do I think he's reaching out for selfish reasons? Not necessarily. You know, when the Tower card comes up, it's saying something is falling, and like some people are, you know, not assuming that it's over. So as the Tower is falling, you've got people like falling out of it. So he may not realize that really you guys are kind of like done and you've, you know, more or less moved on, or you've detached yourself from the situation, but he might still be holding on to what you guys once had. And then when you get into that dynamic and you're around each other, you're like, well, this is kind of weird. Like, it doesn't feel the same. I feel uncomfortable. It's not easy for us to kind of connect and communicate. And like, why did I come here? Am I wasting my time? These are the kind of feelings that I get. So I think this is more relating to your ex. I don't really feel like this has to do with the person who you're wanting to connect to. And then for that, I get the Temperance card. So it is kind of saying like, take care of this. Be clear-minded in terms of being like, okay, I'm really moving forward. If you want to reach out to that other person, that's fine. It may take a little bit of time to get a response though with that 7 of Coins. And maybe it's worth reaching out to them in advance and letting them know that you're going to be there preemptively. So you're not going there and then waiting to be like, okay, I'm going to make plans revolving around whether or not this person responds. Reach out in advance. Hopefully that's helpful. And looks like a very uncomfortable situation hanging out with your ex. So I would be very, very careful there if I was you. Good luck. We have got Asha. Asha, and then Vanessa, and then Rona. Let me see. I know we called last call. I want to make sure we've got everybody here. All right. Asha says, 3-card spread. What, who is coming in love and a timeline? I know what to expect and when. Let's take a look. All right, so what can we tell Asha about love and the timeline in this order? Ooh, I see a new person coming. Page of Cups, 10 of Coins, and the King of Swords. Well, what I like about this is that, you know, the Page of Cups can be an indication card that there's a new potential relationship on the horizon. This can be with somebody who is charming, romantic, creative, fun. There can be like a water element to them. I kind of see like a combination between air and water because we've got the King of Swords coming up. But the Page of Cups can also be about dreaming. It can be about your intuition. It can be about dreaming and thinking and visualizing the future. So there can be a lot of being less focused on a specific person or a specific relationship and more thinking about like manifestation and how you're connecting with this person before you physically meet them, almost like you're drawing them in. Especially because when I think of like the Page of Cups, I think of like somebody who is very romantic and idealistic and charming, and it can be about poetry and kind of, you know, thinking about being in love with the idea of love. So it is this energy of romanticizing the idea of a relationship and all of the qualities which you're hoping to kind of bring in a person. So think of this almost as like a time where, you know, you're sitting down and you're able to do some of your meditations or your manifestation work or your spiritual work, and you're like picking and choosing all of the qualities and the traits of the person that you're bringing in, very specific. Like, I hate to like be that person to like reference that movie, Practical Magic. You know how she's got like the basket and she's like picking things and she talks about all of the traits that he has. And then later in the movie, when she meets the sheriff, she's like, oh my God, it's him, right? Kind of like that. So you have to be very specific about what it is that you're calling in. So when that person shows up, you know exactly, you know, who and what it is. 10 of Coins. This talks about long-term planning, family planning, commitments, kind of the goals maybe pertaining to like relationships. You know, 10 of Coins is about that person you get married to and that you're with forever, or that you build a family with, or that you start a business with. It's investing your time and energy in something long-term. So really emotionally, you're like, I've got these goals. This is what I have. Page of Cups can also be about not just a romantic connection in a relationship, but it can be about a child or children. So there can be this sense of being really emotionally connected to being able to fulfill that, thinking about these long-term goals and really investing in something that's going to have more quality. So I think of 10 of Coins as, yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer to manifest, but it's something that's going to bring you more in the long run. There's going to be, you know, more commitment, more maturity, more value that might come from waiting. So being rewarded after waiting like a longer period of time. And then the King of Swords. So it can mean that you're meeting somebody through work. Sometimes this can be a work connection or a client or somebody who's introduced to you through, you know, a business connection. King of Swords can be obviously an air element. So I think of like my Geminis and Libras and Aquariuses. But this can also be somebody who is very intelligent. So somebody who's got some air element in their chart, but maybe they're a writer, they're a teacher. Maybe they're somebody who is a researcher, or somebody who is really focused on, you know, communications or relaying ideas to people. Generally very well spoken as well. You know, the King of Swords is somebody who can sometimes come across a little detached, but somebody who's very direct in their communication, and generally like you can have conversations with them that are rather serious. So to me, it looks like somebody's coming in where you can kind of be really honest about what you're looking for and what you're hoping to achieve. I do think that that 10 of coins is also saying that you're not going to have a problem letting them know that you're thinking about long-term plans, and you know, you may get some really honest and kind of really helpful feedback from them about what they're looking for as well. Keep an eye out though, something about job and professional like relationship connections makes me feel like that's how you're probably going to meet them. And sometimes the Page of Cups can be somebody who's like, hey, are you available? Let's grab a cup of coffee. Or, you know, and it can seem almost like it's not date oriented. It's somebody who's like just trying to network or connect with you. Maybe they send you an email. So it seems just more kind of like, you know, a communication exchange. It doesn't seem very romantic, but the more that you talk to them, you might realize like, you know, this person embodies like a lot of the qualities of what it is that I've been looking for. And like maybe you're starting to notice that there are some kind of connections to what you have been kind of manifesting and calling in. So let me know. Hopefully this king shows up. Definitely one of the better cards that you can be pulling in terms of romantic relationships. Balloons. I think we saw this last time. I think we saw balloons last time. I don't know how that's physically possible, but I see them every now and then on the lives. Okay. We have Vanessa, Rona, and Heba. We did not do Emiko yet. You're a little bit down the list. We've got you here soon. I'm glad that was helpful, Matt. All right, so let's see what Vanessa has to say. Vanessa says, I have two separate questions. My sister's boys are living with their paternal aunt, and the date of birth is 1/29/72, and the paternal grandmother's date of birth is 9/20 or 9/21. Should I be cautious or aware of them doing shady shit to me, or are they evil ladies who practice witchcraft? And why are they such assholes to me? How can I protect myself? Okay, please tell me, does it look promising for my sister to get her kids completely back this year? All right, let's take a look. Let's see. So your sister's boys are living with the paternal aunt and grandmother. Do you need to be aware of these ladies? Are they any reason? Nine of Swords jumps out. Let's see what the confirmation card is. Ace of Wands. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. Do I feel like there's anything that you need to worry about? No, because the Nine of Swords is talking about stressing out and worrying about things that you have no control over. I don't feel like you're in the direct line of fire. And it's funny because, like, I see a lot of people who are like, do you think this person put a spell on me? Or do you think this person's, like, out to get me? Like, some people are intentionally like that, but I think in this situation, you don't have to do anything for there to be negative or ill intent, right? Like intentions can go a long way without having to like sacrifice a rooster, if you know what I'm saying. The Nine of Swords is saying you're stressed out about it, but the Ace of Wands is saying like, look, there is some hostility there, right? That she has towards, you know, obviously ill will towards your sister or some kind of hostility towards your sister in general. Are you in the direct line of fire? No. But I also feel like this is a situation where you need to be mindful that there is some hostility. So anything that you can do to kind of better shield or protect energetically, your family energetically. I would say fire is really good. You know, purification, burning stuff, you know, lighting a white candle, you know, protecting your space. That's really all that you need to do. I don't really see somebody, you know, being out to get you. Okay. And then the second question is, how is my daughter's 2024 looking? So she just had her birthday, so happy belated to her. Let's take a look at what that is looking for your daughter. How's she doing with that retrograde? There should have been a lot of changes with her and her moods this last month. All right, so we've got Nine of Coins. That's a pretty good card, actually. And your daughter's born in, so she's what, 13? I think I'm trying to math, 13. For me, this kind of feels like, finally she's starting to mature, and she's also starting to see that if she wants to be treated like an adult, or if she wants some sense of independence, like she has to act like an adult, right? So 9 of Coins can be about making her own way, being more self-sufficient, giving herself the things that she needs. It might be a year where she's really learning more about the value of hard work and dedication and having more independence. It also can be an indication that, she's really starting to kind of realize her worth, and she's showing up and taking better care of herself. It can be a time where she is valuing her health, her independence more. Sometimes this card comes up when, people start working and they're able to kind of afford some of their own things, or they're realizing that that's something that they want to do. 9 of Coins is also somebody who doesn't want to feel like she has to rely on other people. She wants to make her own way. In a pleasant way. So this isn't her, getting agitated or being, troublesome or confrontational. It's her just kind of being like, look, I want to do my own things, like, let me be. So you may feel like there's less of you needing to watch her, or needing to coddle her, or needing to kind of keep an eye on her, which I think is really positive. Coming into her 15th year, this is going to be all about, communication, especially with home and like with her family. So I feel like she'll communicate, when she needs help or when she needs space very clearly. But for the most part, you're going to start seeing her being a little bit more self-sufficient and hopefully more responsible, so that way you can kind of trust her as she's learning to kind of do things more so on her own. It's a wonderful card for like a young adult. Like, I like this card because it's like you kind of going like, hey, I think she's going to be okay. Like, she's starting to kind of figure it out. Like, not only is she making her way, but she's like thriving when it comes to her health and also her resources. So this is going to be a year where I think you're going to see a lot of like growing up that's taking place in a good way. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. Light those candles, burn something for your sister, so you can kind of maybe sage that space out so she's feeling a little bit better protected. We've got Rona, Heba, and Adriana. Rona says, I have a crush on someone who I speak to on social media, and their name is Orion. How does he feel about me, and what is next for us? I like that. Let's take a look. So what do we need to know about Rona and Orion? How does he feel about her, and what could be next? That one. There we go. You're welcome, Vanessa. There we go. Are you like holding yourself back from like connecting with him or communicating? Are you trying to get his attention but not doing the one who's making the connections? 4 of Cups, 4 of Cups, 4 of Coins, and the Queen of Swords. I'm wondering, like, is there a sense of you liking things, hoping that he's going to interact? Are you trying to see if he's going to reach out to you? Are you playing hard to get? What's going on here? I kind of feel like you're not quite getting the attention or the recognition or the responses that you're looking for. It's almost like you need more. 4 of Cups is talking about being a little flustered or feeling a little disappointed, wondering when you're going to get more kind of feedback, or wondering when you're going to get more interaction. This is a card where you're feeling like there's a lack of attention or appreciation that is kind of going on between the two of you. That Ace of Cups is saying, don't be disgruntled in the background. There is an interest, there's a connection there. I do feel like this might be someone who, even though they're active on social media, I don't really feel like they're always reading into who's looking at their stuff, or who's liking their stuff, or who's like, making comments about stuff. And they may be a little bit like, okay, I post my stuff, but I'm not always like interacting with people. So you may be having to get a little creative with other ways that you can get this person's attention or connect with them. They may not necessarily be like, the most aware that if you're liking things, or you're, like leaving little hearts or comments or whatever, that you're interested. They might just be like, whatever, I'm just posting my stuff here. And if people like it, they like it, but they're not able to kind of read into that. Four of Coins talks about, you know, feeling maybe insecure or questioning whether or not the feelings are mutual right now. Not wanting to seem like you're too desperate or trying too hard or reaching out too much. That Four of Coins talks about being a little bit kind of standoffish and kind of keeping your distance to see if somebody else is going to reach. And then you get the Queen of Swords. So this talks about finally, after a period of being like, okay, I've tried all the things to get this person's attention, short of just direct messaging them or short of just calling them and being like, hey, what's up? Let's hang out. It looks like a switch is going to flip, and then suddenly you're going to be like, you know what? I'm not playing hard to get, or I'm not waiting for them to message me back or to make plans. I'm going to be like, hey, what's up? What's going on? This is like taking charge of the situation and really kind of putting your money where your mouth is and being like, hey, you know what? Like, what's going on? How are you doing? Like, let's kind of get together. Let's do something. And managing or taking care of the situation or taking handle of the situation and being very direct with your interests. So, you know, these are both fours. It can be 4 on the 4th month, or it can be about 4 weeks from now, or after 4 kind of interactions going back and forth, you're finally going to be like, okay, let's just skip, you know, let's skip all of this. Like, what are you doing on Saturday? Like, let's get together. Or I don't want to message back and forth anymore. Like, give me your number. And I think that it's going to go well, because I feel like, you know, you may have to be a little bit more direct with this person because they may not recognize or realize that there's an interest. So you can wait for them to come around, but I think ultimately you're going to be the one who's going to kind of push it a little bit. Good luck. Funny cards. It's almost like you're doing everything to try to get a reaction, and then you're finally going to break. I've got Heba. Says, hey, I applied for Finance Master in Stockholm, Sweden. I did get my GMAT test today, which the university looks at and it scores and gives seats to the highest until lowest scores until no more seats are available. Can you pull a card for me and tell me if I'll be offered a seat specifically in Stockholm for the Masters that starts this August or September? Let's take a look. So will Heba get one of these seats for the Masters in Stockholm this summer? Ooh, 3 of Swords. So let's see, what is that confirmation card? It does seem like, you know, the 3 of Swords is a card of disappointment. So it can be an indication that there is some disappointment with the outlook of whether or not you get offered something. But what's interesting is the confirmation card is the 6 of Coins. So I kind of feel like it might be a situation where they say, here's the deal. We're going to release so many seats. We're going to offer so many people seats. We will put you on a wait list, or we will let you know if something opens up, or we will be issuing a second round at a later date. Like, they'll come back and they have something to give you, you know, like, it's not just going to be like, no, the answer is no. It's like, we're not able to give it to you at this time, but this is the second, you know, date that we're going to be taking people and accepting people in the spring. Or we've got you on an extended list where if somebody cancels or they can't, you know, take their position, we will be kind of coming back. There is a sense of them offering you something because it looks like they won't be able to make good on the availability for a seat in the immediate position for the fall. So disappointing, obviously. I hope I'm wrong, but it does seem like they have something that they're offering you. So if they do come back and they say, hey, we can't do it now, follow up with them and be like, okay, well, is there a wait list? Are there, you know, other people that you can call in the off chance that there are people who aren't able to take these seats? Because they may circle back around and they may actually offer you something, making it possible within about 6 months for you to participate. And even then, maybe they're going to be taking more seats in 6 months' time for the spring. That's the other way to looking at it. Good luck. Difficult card. That's one of the more challenging cards in the deck. I have Adriana C. She says, this is Adriana. Life has been really tough recently, and I'm starting to feel like things will never get better. Any advice or ideas on what might be coming my way soon? I'm a Libra rising, Sag moon, Virgo sun. All right, well, let's take a look. Libra rising, definitely that Mercury retrograde over your moon could have been a doozy. especially with communication, with family or home or living situations. Some heavy stuff with all those planets in your 4th house. And Virgo sun's experiencing some Saturn opposition. So let's see if life has been really tough. Will things get better? Any ideas on what is coming Adriana's way soon? In this order, healing. Wow, look at this. The Devil, the Hierophant, and the Temperance. Well, for me, this is a lot of like breaking out of old patterns, like big time. So I don't know if you're on the live or if you want to expand on what you're having issues with, but I will say this. The Devil card talks about getting stuck in old patterns, being held back, not being allowed to move forward, and feeling like you're being either victimized or bound to something. So sometimes it can be addiction, it can be old patterns, getting stuck in routines, getting stuck in bad relationships, repeating similar patterns also when it comes to like work and career blocks. Saturn right now for a Libra rising is in the 7th house of bad habits, limitation, delays, and health matters. For a Virgo, though, you know, this is an opposition to your sun, so it can be feeling like you're hitting blockages in regards to relationships with people. So it could go one of two ways. The Hierophant in the current position is talking about structure, order, long-term goals, your reputation. This can be in regards to what you're committing to. This can also be about your faith and your belief system. The Hierophant can be talking about connecting with somebody who could give you advice, who can kind of help you and help you heal. So I think of like healers, therapists, counselors, spiritual practitioners, priests, you know, something where somebody is able to kind of give you some kind of advice about what you need to do or where you need to go in order to heal. And so when I think about, you know, the Devil card, I think about Capricorn, and I think about your home and your upbringing and your family, and like maybe you're feeling like you need more structure in some way, or maybe you're feeling like you're trying to heal from home or past related family issues, and you're needing the right person to help you with that process. Oh, here we go. I'm having trouble finding a home that doesn't make me sick due to mold illness. I have no life and health issues because of it. Okay. So Saturn in the 6th house obviously is about finding something that can help you in terms of health and finding something that's like clean. I think that, you know, the retrograde in your 3rd house could have been a bit of a doozy over your moon trying to find a place to move, but maybe it's like places that you're like, no, nothing is like really kind of presenting itself. Thankfully, as a Libra rising, Venus is about to go into your 4th house. So it's going to make it more so likely that you could find a home. Venus is about to trine Jupiter, and it's also going to trine Uranus. So you want to look at that over the next 2 weeks. It can bring you opportunities. I wonder if the Hierophant is like working with somebody who can kind of help you get placed in a space. So maybe it's like talking to a realtor or somebody who's got a list of rentals and things that you can go and look at. Somebody who you can explain the situation to and be like, look, I'm, you know, dealing with some health issues. I'm trying to find a place and I'm trying to move. And Temperance is talking about getting into a space that's going to present you with an opportunity for healing. So I really feel like something is about to turn the corner on the horizon. I really feel like this is also kind of saying somewhere around, you know, literally between now and like the spring, something should present itself. And another thing is that once you get into this safe space between now and March, then it's supposed to be doing even more of the healing. So it's not, I need to get into a new place. It's like, I got to get into a place. And then I also have to be focusing on kind of like rebounding and bouncing back with my health. All 3 of these cards talk about Saturn, also Venus and Jupiter. And so we're going to see Venus and Jupiter that are going to trine and sextile Saturn. So in my mind, literally the next 2 weeks, you can find something, but I think that you need the support of somebody else to kind of help you. So you're not feeling like you're running yourself ragged, trying to find a place, and explain to them your past issues with some of your health problems. So that way they know going into it what your specifications are for the kind of home that you're wanting to be in. Something about the Devil moving to the Temperance card makes me feel like it could be near water. It could be near healing centers. It could also be that, you know, you move into a space where it's lighter and it's more airy and there's like more sunshine, because this is a dark card and this is a light card. So this talks about something that's like really airy and bright, and it's going to have a very different kind of vibe compared to where you've been living, right? Good luck with your home moves. Definitely some of the transits the next week or two is some of the best all year if you're looking for a place to kind of move to where you can have some healing opportunities. All right, so we've got Isabella, and then Catherine and Simone. Isabella says, 3-card tarot reading. I'm feeling stressed and overwhelmed. I can't help but feel that something has to give. Can you help me gain insight into what the problem and the solution is? Thank you so much. I absolutely adore your channel and your insight. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You are welcome, Adriana. Oh, Davers is in the chat. He made it. All right, so let's see what's going on with Isabella. She's really stressed and overwhelmed. She can't quite figure out what's going on. Let's help her gain some insight into what seems to be affecting her and where this is going. If you guys can see this, please give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Okay, so we've got 2 of Wands, the Moon card, and the 6 of Cups. To be honest with you, these cards aren't half bad. They're actually pretty positive. I really kind of feel like this is a spread where you're kind of in limbo. And it's weird. I've kind of felt this, I've talked to a lot of people this week who have been telling me they kind of feel like, ooh, I feel like a change is coming. Okay, I feel like a change is coming. On the 21st, we have Pluto going into Aquarius, which is going to be big changes collectively for all of our future. Think back to what happened in the spring of 2023, where we had Pluto go into Aquarius very briefly. We might see some similar themes. But this incoming full moon that we're going to have in Leo, I don't remember the date, but it's coming up here in like the next week or so, is a doozy. Okay, so it might be talking about the moon. It might be some things that are kind of hiding or lurking in your subconscious. 2 of Wands talks about being open and optimistic about the future and moving forward. But then that moon card shows up and it's like, but can we move forward? You know, are we going to be able to make changes? Are these things going to pan out? Like there's almost like this sense of being like, you're supposed to be optimistic about the future, but something is kind of looming. And the 6 of Cups is talking about, number 1, you know, reflecting on the past and like what's happened in the past and the fact that, you know, we don't have to repeat those cycles. We don't have to go back there. We don't have to get stuck in the past. You know, past fixation is something that I would really watch, where you're trying to compare so much of how things have always been to how the future is going to go. We don't want to do that. We are reminiscing so much about the past or missing the past that we're not actually actively participating in the now. We don't want to do that. And I also feel like the moon card is about getting in touch with our emotions. And the 6 of Cups can be talking about happier times, sweeter times, finding ways to be able to play and create and be kind of youthful and childlike and not being so concerned or worried about the future, being more about what we're doing right now. And this can mean finding things to kind of help ease your mind, you know, things that are kind of mindless or things that involve crafting or playtime or other things that's going to kind of take your attention away from like this heaviness of this impending change. But I think that for you, it's about getting out of old patterns, old subconscious patterns of thinking or assuming or automatically reacting in a certain way, and embracing change. And it looks like there's going to be a lot of illumination around the full moon about something kind of being released or something kind of getting eclipsed out in order for you to move forward. If you guys haven't already seen that video on the full moon, I recommend taking a look at it, because the full moon will oppose Pluto. So it's like something has to die off and it's going to be pretty dramatic, and then it's going to square Jupiter, which is going to make the whole situation of change pretty big. But for you, that full moon looks like it's going to be really encouraging you to kind of bridge the gap from the past and old ways into moving forward and actually creating change. And I really encourage you to be finding a hobby or something that you can do. It sounds silly, that almost seems like playtime, that's going to help you ease your way into some of these shifts. Remember guys, Saturn is also in Pisces. And so that's the other thing that's really challenging about the astrology right now, is that We are not really at the beginning of the year. Now we are kind of at the tail end of Capricorn. We're going into Aquarius. So this is really, we're wrapping up the year astrologically. So between now and let's say the end of March, we kind of feel like the drain is draining. We're kind of flushing things out until we get to the beginning of Aries season at the end of March. And then there's going to be some brand fresh new energies. I also think that a lot of this is just everybody is energetically feeling this, oh, something is about to turn over. So I'm not going to encourage you to indulge in things like Saturn and Pisces could be recreational drugs, alcohol, oversleeping, self-undoing. Try to find something that you can be doing that every time you start to notice that you're kind of getting stressed out or you're feeling this looming feeling for the future, you redirect your attention into something else. And Six of Cups can be, what's something you used to love doing when you were a kid? Or like, what's a hobby you used to do when you were younger? Or like, what's something that brings you joy? Go to that whenever you're starting to feel those moments of dread, because it's supposed to be helping connect you to your inner child. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Good luck. We have Catherine, Simone, Ilana, and Emiko. Catherine Keeble. I think I saw Catherine's, let's see, question a long time ago. Kit Keb says, I didn't put a question on my payment. Libra rising, conjunct Pluto, Aries moon, Cancer sun. Could I have a general reading, please? What do I need to know? Thanks for your time and energy. Well, Libra rising with Pluto eclipses. Eclipses on your Aries moon, all squaring your Cancer sun. There's a lot going on there. You're welcome, Isabella. I hope that was helpful. All right, so what do you need to know with all of that cardinal energy that's getting smacked around with those eclipses? I'm wondering what's going on where you're going back and forth about either making a trip or making a move. Or, you know, questioning whether or not you're going to stay in one situation or if you're like in a temporary space. It's a lot of swords here, my dear. So this can definitely talk about a lot of like mental stress. When the swords are coming up, it's like, you know, do I do this or do I do that? You're kind of feeling like the pressure is on, you know, there's a lot of mental stress. There's a lot of difficult communication. There's been a lot of challenges or perhaps even conflict. I think about it as a Libra rising chart, you know, the retrograde in the 4th, you know, going back and forth about a home or a family matter. I think about Venus, which has, you know, been obviously also in the 3rd house. So there's been a lot of needing to communicate and connect to people and share. And Venus isn't too pleased right now. She's in a square to Neptune. So she's not really feeling like she's getting the support that she needs. Over this next week, she'll dip into your 4th house. And then the focus becomes on your home, your safe space, your roots, your family. And I'm looking at like this 7 of Swords and the 2 of Swords where, you know, you're either doubting yourself or you're kind of questioning whether or not you should pull the trigger and make a decision about something. And I don't know if it's about moving, relocating, or traveling. But this 7 of Swords is, the 6 of Swords is talking about getting in your canoe and going somewhere else. So there is some sense of being like, do I need to go on a trip? Do I need a break? You know, is it time to move? Is it time to make a change with a vehicle? You know, am I needing to kind of cut my losses and run in a situation? The positive is that the 6 of Swords is definitely an easier card. You know, this card does talk about moving from a situation that feels like it's been kind of confrontational or challenging or difficult and moving on to smoother waters. But 7 of Swords and 2 of Swords can also talk about like, you know, doubting yourself, having some issues where you haven't been able to trust somebody, that there's been some, you know, issues where there's been some doubt that's come up for you and you're questioning or wondering whether or not you should talk about it or you should bring it up to somebody. This can also be about, you know, you kind of feeling like You know, I am really questioning whether or not I want to continue to keep doing this. You know, do I want to keep traveling? Is it more important for me to be focusing on like staying home? So you're having to make a decision about one of these things. It's been a bit bumpy. I've traveled so much and I've been thinking about staying home for this year. There we go. So seven of swords and 2 of swords. You know, it does make me feel like at the very least, until these planets all pass Saturn, so you're looking at least until closer to April, this would be the time of the year that you're more so grounded, right? All of your personal planets are in your 4th house right now. It may require a lot more work or effort for you to be home. It might mean that in order for you to be home, you feel like you need to change a lot of things about your home to feel comfortable. It might mean that you realize that you're needing to change home, or that you're needing to kind of clean out closets or make space for things. So really in my mind, it's like, if you're going to make the commitment to doing this, then it's more than just the physical commitment, it's the mental commitment. And for you to commit to being at home or closer to home, you need to feel safe and secure, which means you also need to, you know, make sure that you can either trust who you're living with or the situation involving your home, right? Big trust issues, the broken relationship, it finished 2 months ago. And maybe that means that, you know, you're finally moving on from this, right? You're learning to kind of like heal that. I mean, the good news is that 6 of swords does kind of indicate that you're moving on from where there's been a lot of conflict over the last 2 months. Maybe where you've been going back and forth going, well, do I want to be here if I'm not in a relationship? You know, does it make sense for me to relocate, or do I want to change my home, or do I want to redecorate? Now that this has kind of ended, so a lot of it might be about like, if you are going to be home, reclaiming your space and feeling more comfortable with where you're staying, so you're not feeling like you're constantly getting pushed out of your home, right? It can be a wonderful time for you to get grounded right now with all these planets in your 4th house. I'll tell you, especially over the next 2 weeks, any changes that you're making in your home could literally be the foundation that can help propel you to make other changes down the road, especially as we get to May, June, July, and August, right? So many changes for relationships, for Cancers as well. I know you're a Libra rising, but you know, all the planets that are kind of going into Capricorn right now, Pluto changing signs, it's about finally letting the relationships of the past be in the past, healing, moving on, and kind of reestablishing yourself moving forward. So I definitely feel there's a lot of like reclaiming your space type of energy that's coming through. And a lot of that means that, you know, you're going to kind of forgive yourself for how much time and energy you've invested in whatever hasn't worked. And now you're really able to start over. Moving on to smoother territory for sure. I hope that's helpful. It can be really nice when you're like not feeling like you're running away from home, you know? You're like, all right, fine, I'm gonna do the work and make it feel safe and secure, so that way, you know, you can stay there, you can enjoy it. Good luck, sending you lots of healing vibes. We have got Simone, and then Alana, Amiko, and Alyssa. Simone says, hey Candace, I'm a Sag Sun, Pisces Moon, Scorpio rising. Scorpio stellium in the 1st house. Last year I changed home and city 2 times and went through a lot of transformation. I've been waiting for updates in my visa status for a long time. I wonder if you see any positive news coming soon related to that, or relocating overseas. With Pluto re-entering my 4th house, should I make big investments in my current place? Thank you. Love your content. All right, well, let's take a look. Thank you for your support. So you're Scorpio rising, so you got Pluto going into your 4th house, so you're going to see big changes going on with your home base. And you are also a Sag Sun, so Saturn is squaring your Sun in some way, shape, or form, coming into conjunction with your Moon, Pisces Moon. Depending on your degree, I could definitely see like the Saturn-Neptune transits maybe in your 4th house. So it's very likely that you are looking at, after setbacks and delays with the Saturn transits, possibly finally moving to a foreign place. I could see that. Just Sagittarius are having to wait so long with these Saturn squares to come into their new home situation. So let's take a look. Let's see. Certainly, I would say like February especially, there's going to be a lot of energy for Scorpio risings, because you're going to see like Mars and Venus come together in your 4th house. So it's going to give you the opportunity to give you a lot of insight about the future of your home and your living situation, and how that might involve changes with potential relationships and partners. Maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe I didn't. So the Fool card, the Two of Coins, and the Two of Cups. So, you know, I say this like jokingly, but I definitely could see in a way where you're like, you know, does relationship pave the way for me? You know, would this be easier? Would this be faster? Would it make it possible for me, you know, to kind of get established? I mean, that can be the case for a lot of Scorpio risings. You know, you have Jupiter and Uranus in your 7th house of relationships and marriage. So if you're not in a committed relationship as a Scorpio rising, the Jupiter-Uranus transit can mean that very quickly you meet somebody, you fall in love, you know, you elope, you get engaged, you have a kid, you know, suddenly there could be a relationship that develops, and it does make it possible because it opens up your ability with the trines that you're going to start seeing from Jupiter and Gemini in your 8th to Pluto in your 4th to merge with another person and change your living situation. So it's possible. The cards, on the other hand, you know, it's funny that the Fool card, the Two of Coins, and the Two of Cups, it is saying that you're kind of saying, hey, I'm open to anything. I'm up for an adventure. I'm really open to the idea of obviously turning over a new leaf and exploring things that I haven't explored, having some sense of excitement. You know, this is the card that's about Uranus, and Uranus is in your 7th house. So it's saying there can be lots of new opportunities with relationships and partnerships. I think a lot of the changes is coming with that, even though you may not necessarily be looking for it. Two of Coins means that you're kind of weighing your options, being like, you know, do I like the ability to kind of be a little bit free and a bit of like a vagabond and to do the things that I want to do, and to, you know, maybe pick up and relocate into a new place and have the freedom to do what I want? Or am I really leaning towards relationships and partnerships? And so maybe you're weighing those options right now. Maybe you're going back and forth between, you know, one city and another city, or one relationship, or being single, or one job opportunity and another job opportunity. You have to understand that Pluto rules your chart. So when Pluto goes into the 4th house, it's saying that it's not just changing your home, it's squaring your ascendant, which is you. It's challenging your descendant, which is relationships. It's opposing your 10th house, which is your career. So Pluto in an angular house like does some stuff, man. It does some stuff for quite some time. Where you're going to see the most positivity, I think, is going to be about keeping an open mind and being willing to realize that you can have your cake and eat it too, that it doesn't just have to be this or that. Life is not black and white. The gift that's coming to you is the gift of relationship and support. So if you're wanting to potentially relocate, you know, a relationship can be behind that. Somebody who can help you with the process of relocating can be behind that. And, you know, Two of Coins is basically saying you're still very unsure about making investments in regards to your current place. And so there is a sense of you being like, do I want to do this? Do I not? If you're not sure, don't do that yet. Wait a little bit. Know that you could dramatically change something about your living situation in February when Mars and Venus is in your 4th house, and also in May and June when planets are coming into conjunction with Jupiter in your 8th, trine your 4th house. You could totally transform your home. And this transformation will take place over time. You're still going to see Pluto go in and out of your 4th house. So I kind of feel like you need to look at your chart and look at your 4th house ruler, and you need to see what outer planets are doing with your 4th house ruler. It's not just the Pluto transit. Something tells me that there's going to be another person who's going to come into the mix that's probably going to change the direction and where you're going and have an influence on where you're living. But if you wanted to relocate overseas, you know, Jupiter going into Gemini for a lot of Sagittariuses can quite literally materialize as meeting somebody who lives in another place. So I would focus more on, you know, where do I want to be? Where could I go? Be open to the fact that somebody could come into your life that could change your status, you know, very suddenly and potentially help change the future of where you end up living, because there's a lot of relationship energy in this chart. Okay. So never say never. I love that Fool card leading the way where you're like, I'm feeling like I'm going to go. So you may not be too consumed with investing too much into your current home. Hopefully that's helpful for you. I've got Alana, Amiko, Alyssa, Chandra. Okay, so we have Ilana who says, I started seeing someone over the holidays and it was going well. And after Christmas, he had some family issues and it started to go downhill. It's over now, and I'm very sad, especially because instead of walking away when I started to realize my needs weren't getting met, I didn't walk away. I did the thing I always do and tried to force it. Now I feel like he's blocked me, and I feel terrible that I pushed it off a cliff again. I'm not sure if he'll ever talk to me again. Also, if and when I find love, or how to heal this wound that keeps attracting the wrong people and pushing my relationships off a cliff. My birthday is 3/8/83, and his is 7/10/89. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what's going on here. Sorry to hear about that. That is challenging for sure. For sure, especially being a Pisces and you still got Saturn kind of hovering around your sun. So there is this sense of still kind of feeling like you have to be with yourself for a little bit throughout that transit. Let's take a look. Let's see. So what advice can we give Ilana at this time with relationships? All right, so in this order, and this is the confirmation card. So we've got Page of Pentacles, the Star card, and the Ten of Wands. You know, for me, I really feel like this is like a lesson, and I'm not just saying that. Like the Page of Coins is kind of saying like, okay, this is my experience. What's my takeaway here? And I don't even think so much in terms of like relationships, but what are you learning about yourself, and where there is a tendency to give too much of yourself away, to be too willing to be like, here, have my heart, here you go, to somebody who may not necessarily be worthy of that, or somebody who may not necessarily know how to handle you or how to take care of you because they may be lacking. Sometimes pages represent like a immature energy, or an energy of somebody who is like still learning how to, you know, be in relationships. So there is this childlike nature of, you know, wanting to kind of learn or get the hang of something, but it's just not quite sticking. And pages, especially pentacles, can represent like a valuable experience that you have, or you're learning more about your worth. So I noticed that you said that you're sad because when he started walking away, you know, you tried to make it work because you didn't want to let that person go. And so really what I think is going on is it's teaching you a valuable lesson about kind of like healing the self-worth wound, revolving around being like, no, I don't want to be alone, stay with me, and trying to make something happen, even though you know that that person may not be complete, or they may not be good for you, or they may not be somebody who is even being like a decent friend. You know, it's possible to have a relationship dynamic where something's not working and somebody steps back and they're like, just give me some time and I'll be back. But this person didn't really do that. And I think the Star card is saying that you're now in a season of healing. There is a sense of you kind of picking up the pieces and collecting things. I would encourage you not to beat yourself up too much, because that Star card and the Ten of Wands makes me feel like there is a sense of you being like, I'm sick of being alone. This is too hard. I'm doing this to myself. Why am I doing this to myself? And like you can go in this like vicious cycle of feeling as if you always have to be alone. And I really genuinely feel like it's the Saturn transit right now that's kind of teaching you that you have to invest in yourself and really spend the time working on yourself. And you'll get to a point where you're like, I've done so much work that I'm not willing to jeopardize my relationship with myself again. So on top of that, we have the Four of Swords, which is the confirmation card, which means you're going to take about 4 weeks to 4 months being down, recalibrating, healing these energies, working on yourself, giving it a break before you're kind of jumping back into the game. I do feel like there's been so much that's happened at this point, and like so much that you offered and also so much that he pushed back on, that now it was like kind of, you know, uneven. And now it's like the scales are significantly tipped into being kind of unevenly, the weight is unevenly distributed, that it's like it's so out of whack where you gave too much and he's not, you know, like giving enough, that you would be almost crazy to try to go back and fix this at this point. My advice is take this downtime. You know, Four of Swords is like rest, recuperate, reflect. This can also be a card that talks about healing, seeing a healer, working with a therapist, and trying to really reassess why it is that you know, keep coming back to this situation. A book or a series that I can recommend that's really wonderful for this cycle, and they have it in an audiobook and they also have it in a physical book, is a book called Becoming the One. That book is awesome. Whether you listen to the audiobook or you read the book, it's like a whole program where you read the book and then you kind of connect the dots to like relationships that you had with other people, relationships that you had with relatives, where your past conditioning affects the people that you choose, and where it's all kind of leading you to realize that it's not about seeking another person, but it's like seeking yourself, that you are your soulmate, building that relationship with yourself and healing that wound, so that way you're making a conscious effort to make changes to the people who you're choosing to partner with. Would be really wonderful for this situation, but for this spread, because it's saying that in the time that you spend healing or kind of down, you'll be able to kind of come back up and you'll really look at this as like, wow, that relationship that I had or that thing that fell apart, that was turning a corner. And not only did I learn that that wasn't the right person for me, but that's when I learned a lot about myself, and where, you know, I can sometimes be so fixated on the fact that somebody is leaving that I can self-sabotage, you know, the whole dynamic. And so this will be a learning experience for you. And I think that you might be able to look back and go, this is actually what was the catalyst for change, right? So I hope that you do that healing work. I'm not really seeing a lot of reconciliation, but I do feel like there is a sense of making peace with what happened. Hopefully that's helpful. Sending you lots of healing vibes, Alana. I appreciate your support. I've got Emiko, and then Alyssa, Chandra, Yuzavi, and Janny. All right, so Emiko says, any advice on the current state I'm in regarding work and career? I lost my unemployment and super broke right now, and then I landed a job with a previous design client to work for as her creative director for a business. I'm also looking for a part-time job just to network and make friends. I also have a work trade commitment for my rent to be cheaper, and I want to have time to create my own art. Just wondering if I'm on the right path, because it feels overwhelming and, to be honest, a bit debilitating in terms of staying disciplined and finding what works for me. Sun in Aries, Moon in Taurus, Pisces rising. That sounds like a lot, but you know what? The Pisces rising astrology this last month with Mercury retrograde in your career zone and Mars going through there, you know, reassessing what direction you're going in. It's all squaring Neptune and Saturn in your first house. That is a doozy. The good news is that you're coming out of it with like all of these planets in Capricorn in your 11th house. So the networking, connecting with people who can help further your business is definitely very helpful. And I also feel like all of the trines that are going to be happening to Taurus and your Taurus moon is also really positive, because it's going to help bring opportunity to do some kind of creative work remotely at a distance. So overwhelming, yes, but lots of opportunity also, yes. So let's take a look. So you got a lot going on, and what is the current advice that the cards can give you about this kind of hodgepodge of different creative work that you're doing, and maybe how to stay on track and where you should focus the most. All right, so in this order, and it's funny because I was kind of feeling this. I was like, you have to kind of get quiet, you know, because things can feel like very loud with the, I have to do this for rent, and I've got this commitment, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. 5 of Wands tells me that there can just be this feeling of like there's a lot of conflicting energies where some things are wanting to come in and other things just aren't quite ready to work yet, or other things that are kind of conflicting with a schedule that you're setting up. 5 of Wands can also feel like this is about competition or competitiveness, or a sense of like, you know, things working against each other. So you really want to take a step back once you do start some of these separate gigs and really take note of what's flowing and what you're feeling like you have to force. Because if there's things that are just flowing, that's just working for you, right? As a Pisces rising, you know what I'm talking about when things they just move on their own. There's no need to kind of make stuff happen. You just kind of get into the swing of where the energy is flowing. Those are the projects you want to stay with. But if you're feeling like there's something you're trying to force, or, you know, there's a client you're trying to meet with and it's always conflicting with your schedule or your time, or there's delays or there's setbacks, like really look at that and be like, okay, I don't really think this is supposed to be working, or this is working against what I'm trying to kind of create and make happen. This week, you will see Mercury come out of the retrograde shadow. So we're going to start to see where, now that you're connecting with the right people and you're more goal-oriented, you're going to start to see some of your projects stick. Four of Coins tells me that you're going to be making money, but you're going to be very conservative with the money that you are making. And that you're going to be really mindful of how you're spending. And just as a reminder with that Four of Coins, it teaches us like moderation. Like there can be a sense of spending too freely. And if we're doing that, we're not saving. But also if we're holding on too tightly and we're not releasing some of those funds, then it can actually stop the flow of money. So when the money starts flowing in, don't overspend, but also don't look at things and go like, okay, I'm not spending any of it, I'm holding on to it, because you have to look at it as something that is constantly in a flow. Four of Coins is also about holding on to things and maybe saving something. So it might mean that the money that's coming in, you're setting some of it aside and you're focusing on a savings account, or you're saving for a new home situation or for a travel situation, or maybe you need like a new gadget or something. And then the Hermit card is talking about getting quiet and reflecting. And I really feel like this is about you going like, okay, peace and solitude. You know, maybe it's that you're like, look, I finally got money coming in, but I'm not spending it on the things. Like I'm just being able to enjoy my day off, right? Or I'm just being able to enjoy a little bit of like extra rest here and there, or, you know, time to go and hang out and be by the beach, or, you know, to be working on my personal work that is my creative endeavors. So I really think that for you, this is going to be about learning to trust your inner guidance. You know, the Hermit card talks about like illuminating the path in front of you, and you really can't do that until you're sitting and you're alone and you're reflecting. You might recognize that some things are really worth the investment and they're worth the time over the next month or two. And other things, there's just so much like pushback and conflict and something that's not working with your life or with your schedule that you can't help but notice that's out of sync. Maybe that's not where I should be investing my time. I'm going to let that go, right? So notice where you start to kind of see the friction in some things. But the Hermit card is definitely a really good card for working, getting down to details, being productive, being able to really focus on some of the projects that are going to be the most fulfilling. And if you're looking at paying off debt, or, you know, wanting to save more money, or wanting to kind of pay some stuff down, Four of Coins is definitely the card that you want to see, because it's saying that you're being more conservative with what you're bringing in, and you're not just, you know, kind of freely spending stuff. So work with the flow is the best advice I can give you, and you'll notice that the right projects are just going to kind of fall into alignment for you. Thank you, Lady V. I appreciate it. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Amiko. All right, so I've got Alyssa here. She's July 8th, 84. She popped in here a couple times. I forgot to add my question. I'm a Cancer Sun, Venus rising, Scorpio moon. I'm curious about love and work. I'm single and I need to be unstuck in love. Okay. Cancer Sun, Venus, and rising. Well, Pluto's leaving your 8th, so that's going to help. Your only question regarding love is, my only question is regarding love. You can disregard career. I've been stuck in a dead-end relationship, situationship, and I'm ready to meet someone hopefully sooner rather than later. Cancer, Sun, Rising, Venus, Scorpio, Moon, Mars, Saturn. Total shit show. Moon, Mars, Saturn in the 5th house is serious about love when you decide that you want to be open. People say I have a split chart with Leo rising. Okay, so you're late Cancer, late Cancer rising. Okay, got it. Let's take a look. Let's see for you here, Alyssa, what I can tell you about your love life. I mean, I can tell you one thing's for sure. Now that you have Saturn that is direct, that's in your 8th house, you know, relationships can start to evolve, although you're likely to meet people at a distance or through continuing education or travel. Pluto is about to finally leave Capricorn, so for a lot of Cancer rising charts, this means you're putting an end to old, outdated, toxic relationships patterns that don't work. And you're seeing a lot of planets that are moving through Capricorn this week, which is about relationships for you, which is going to square the north or south node. So it's almost like a lot of Cancer risings are having to kind of come to terms this week with like, okay, I have to have a conversation with this person and cut it off, Mercury, Mars, or I have to let the past be in the past, or I finally have to let this go. And also people who are a part of your destiny can also show up, who you can have conversations with and who can encourage you and help push you forward into future relationships. So super fateful week on tap. I really feel like it depends on what kind of a Cancer rising you are. If you have a lot of that Scorpio in your chart, there can be some reluctance to like letting old love go, and there can be a tendency of like wanting to hold on to something until you have the next person, because Scorpio wants to feel safe. So I almost wonder if this is about like not playing those games. Oh my gosh, this is real life. We just pulled some of the same cards all over again. 4 of Coins, the Hermit card, and the 2 of Coins. So I'm wondering, like, what's the deal? Like, is there a sense of you being like, I'm holding on because I don't know what the future holds, I don't want to be alone? If that's some tendencies that you're doing, you have to let that go. I don't think people understand. Pluto's going to go into Aquarius. So for Aquarius, for a Cancer rising, even though it sounds like Pluto's still going to be in your 7th house, it's moving to your whole sign 8th, which means the idea of having a person, now you're going to realize, doesn't necessarily mean that it's bringing you security. You can have a wealthy partner, a job, a ton of money, like whatever, but none of those things necessarily guarantee security, because you never know when the money or the partner is going to run out, right? So really what you're looking at is you're going to realize that holding on, it's like you're holding on to a corpse. I hate to say that, but that's like Pluto. Pluto's like, you know, there's 2 people at a funeral. There's the person that's like celebrating and, you know, like being like, ooh, it's a celebration of life, and they're wearing all the bright colors. And then there's the person that's like grabbing the, you know, I'm having a mental mind blank. They're grabbing the coffin and they're yelling and they're screaming and they're like, no, and they won't accept the death. Which one of those people do you want to be? That's really the question. So Pluto in Aquarius is basically like, we can come to terms with the fact that this isn't working. We can say, you know what, we're going to do this whole thing differently. So I think in your case, it's doing relationships differently. I think it may incentivize you, instead of getting totally thrown into being obsessive or fixated about relationships, you're learning to become friends with people first. Maybe it means that you're really focusing and going deeper in your relationships with platonic people or with friendships, and you're building on friendships. As a Cancer rising, you know, Jupiter and Uranus in your 11th house says that there's so much support and fulfillment that can come from friends that can help fill the gap for if you were to feel insecure or lonely not being in a relationship. The Hermit card is saying basically like, look within and really turn inward and ask yourself, why are you holding on? Are you holding on for the wrong reasons? Is it because, you know, you don't want anybody else to have them, but you also don't want them? Are you holding on because of insecurity and fear? You have to come to terms with what some of these hangups are revolving around relationships and not be going back and forth, because final card is the 2 of Coins. It tells me that you're wavering. You're like, am I going to go? Am I not? Am I going to do it? Am I not? Pull the trigger, make a commitment. The final card is the 8 of Cups. So it does look like you're going to make the decision to walk away. Usually when I see something like this, it can also be kind of ego driven, where it's like, I want to be the one to leave. I don't want them to do it. I want to do it. And if they start to kind of leave me, I freak out. But then if I leave them, I don't want to go unless there's another person. So make the commitment to leaving. Really reinvest yourself, I would say, into your relationships, your social relationships, and things that can give you the support and the security emotionally, but may not come with all of the hangups of the challenges or the drama or the complexity of a romantic relationship. I think you're going to make the move, and you may finally like get the guts to start having these conversations, literally like in the next like week or so, when these planets come into conjunction. You may also find that your conversations with people this week are a little intense with Mercury and Mars in your 7th house, and there's going to be a sense of people either irritating you or getting irritated, and then all of a sudden you can like word vomit and be like, this isn't working for me, and then you're like, oh my god, this came out of my mouth. So be mindful that your buttons are going to get pushed a little bit, and you're going to finally kind of get to the point where you're like, okay, I think I'm actually really ready to walk away. In the next year, okay, you will see that there is going to be some Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions So friends are going to expand. You're going to have opportunities for relationships. Look for long distance relationships or people who you might meet while traveling or people who might be like culturally different. Those are likely how relationships are going to come in. And you'll be having some eclipses in the fall, conjunct Saturn. So you might meet somebody while you're traveling or vice versa, somewhere around mid-September of this year, okay? Good luck, Alyssa. I know you can do it. It's all that Scorpio in you that's like, I don't want to give it up. We've got Chandra and then Miss Yuzavi, Jani, and Anna. All right, Chandra says, 3 cards, generalized, please. Sagittarius Sun, Capricorn Moon, Cap Rising. You're welcome, Alyssa. Good luck. I have a Capricorn stellium. I mean, a Scorpio stellium too, so I understand the shit show. Don't worry. You're among friends. All right, so for Chandra, a generalized reading. She's a Cap Rising, Cap Stellium, Cap Moon, but she's got that 12th house Sun in Sag. Let's take a look. How are you doing with that retrograde, Chandra? That was a doozy. This is no joke. You guys saw me shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. The card of the evening is the Hermit card. It is the Hermit card. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I'm just looking at who I did. I did for you. Did I, Kelsey? Hold on a second. Maybe I skipped you. Okay, put a pin in that, Kelsey. Don't go anywhere. I'll take you next. I might have missed you. I don't know how. Now I'm seeing you. I apologize. Stay there. Don't go anywhere. All right. So for Chandra, I have the Hermit, the Star card, and the Queen of Swords. So, I feel like for you, the Hermit card and the Star card can be talking about being in a phase where you've been really focused on healing your connections to other people, really going inward and focusing on what your goals are, because this can be talking about the recent Mercury retrograde. That's been happening obviously in your sign, the Capricorn. So it's been all along your ascendant and into your 12th house. So there's been a lot of really making decisions about where you're going, what you want, what your goals are, what you're hoping to achieve. I'm wondering if it went hand in hand with some like healing stuff or some recuperating, especially with Mercury going into your 12th house and it being connected to your 6th. It can be about your purpose and, what you're here to help other people do. But I really feel like if there was a time where people were going to be healing something or kind of recovering or maybe just, feeling a little under the weather, it's generally with this retrograde that you just had. So sometimes the Hermit card can be saying through a little bit of like rest and kind of turning inward and having some private time, we realize what's important to us. The Star card makes me feel like there is this reconnecting to yourself, having a broader vision for the future, being more optimistic about where you're going. Maybe it's given you a more recent new outlook on life and like what you're hoping to achieve and what direction you're going in, especially when it comes to your personal goals. Such a powerful time right now to have all that Capricorn because, really what you're learning is from a Sagittarius perspective to build on your self-esteem, to build on your resources, from a Capricorn rising perspective to really show up and be like, these are the things that are doing, this is how I'm showing up for myself. I think the Queen of Swords is beautiful. It can talk about a lot of support and inspiration coming from an Aquarius in your life. But it can also be you, that you're focusing on your words and communication and empowering yourself and getting the point across and feeling heard and feeling like there is something very powerful and very magical about saying when you are going to do something, you speak it into reality. I talk a lot about how this week Mercury and Mars in Capricorn will square the nodes, and it's like a moment where you're really stepping into the position of being like, I'm creating change. Well, for you, it's about making a conscious decision to go, I'm redefining who I am outside of what I've done for so long, and I'm redeveloping my relationship with myself, my home, my family, my roots. It can be about finding your home. It can be about reestablishing your home, your connection to your family. And I think it's about really getting honest with yourself about what some of your goals are, and that there is a whole other side of your life that you're getting ready to develop outside of your professional life, things that are more connected to your home, your family, and your private life. So where I'm living, my relationship with relatives, also how I'm feeling, my private relationships. These are all things that are kind of coming online right now. You're like a little magician. So be mindful where thought goes, energy flows. So be mindful of what you're thinking about, be mindful of what you're saying, because there's a lot of speaking things into fruition for you this week. Words are very powerful. Work with mantras. That's the best thing I can tell you. Get up every morning and have a routine where you're empowering yourself, because you're going to see a lot of your wish fulfillment kind of coming true. But it's only after really kind of sitting with yourself and being honest about what kind of changes you need to see coming. Good luck. Okay, so going back to, thank you for catching that. I don't know how I almost missed you, Kelsey. Kelsey says, I'm wondering if you can give me insight into my love life. I've been talking to a guy out of state for a year. Wondering if I'm going to be going back there to visit him soon and how this will progress. My birthday is November 4th and his birthday is June 14th, and I'm not sure about birth time, but born in Collingswood or Camden, New Jersey. Thank you, Chandra. I'm glad that was helpful. Okay, so full disclosure, Kelsey, are you here? So the Geminis born in 1988, girl, good luck. Good luck with those Geminis. I'm not discriminating, but I know that those Geminis were born with Venus in opposition to hold on, take that back. Venus, I believe Venus was retrograde in 88, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Venus is retrograde conjunct the sun. So Venus in Gemini, Sun in Gemini, and they have some oppositions to Sagittarius. So there is a lot of like relationships at a distance. Yes, that can happen. But there can also be like a lot of challenges in terms of them realizing what they want in relationships and making commitments and sticking to them. So there can be a lot of changes in regards to their relationship with women. And being a Scorpio, you know, Gemini is 6th house to your sun, and being a Gemini, they're Gemini, Scorpio represents 6th house. So there's this sense of like, 6th and 8th house. You know, you guys in conjunct, you quincunx each other. Venus being associated, Scorpio being associated with Mars and Gemini being associated with Mercury. You guys have a fascination with each other, but there's something that's kind of like disjointed, right? Oh, and your Venus is in Sagittarius, so it's in opposition to his sun, so it represents that reach. She goes, yes, he does have Venus retrograde in Gemini, and he has a moon in Gemini too. So these are tricky people when it comes to relationships, because it means that there's always options and choices, and men who have Venus retrograde have a harder time understanding women and how women work, right? If any of what I'm saying makes sense, makes sense. Anyway, let's take a look. Let's see. Certainly, you know, a lot of Geminis right now are dealing with the Saturn square, so they're super fixated on what's going on with career. And lots of Scorpios are like, hey, I need to make a change in my home. You know, what's going on with my relationship? So both of you guys can have a sense of like being complementary to what you're trying to make happen. But there's going to need to be, with Saturn and Neptune squaring his Venus and his Sun, getting very clear about what he wants in relationships. The good thing is Jupiter will go into his 7th house from his Sun this year. So Jupiter, Jupiter's going to go into Gemini. Okay, so that's going to be for him, and it's going to open up the opportunity to connect with his 7th house. So somebody's going to have to be willing to travel, basically. Or somebody's going to have to be more willing to relocate, because we're going to see Saturn and Neptune and Jupiter all square. Yeah, he just quit his job trying to get into a union right now. Okay. Balloons. Did we figure out how the balloons happen? They just seem to happen. Okay. So the Fool, the 3 of Coins, and the Queen of Pentacles, it makes me feel like you're kind of determined to be like, I'm going to see if we can give this a shot. You know, like it makes me feel like there might be an opportunity here, but somebody's going to have to kind of do something out of their comfort zone, or there's going to be a sense of being like, let's make a move, let's make a change. You know, Scorpios in general right now, with Pluto in the 4th house, they're more willing to move and they're more willing to relocate. I also feel like with the Fool card, this is about Uranus, and Uranus is 7th house to your sun. So there's lots of good relationship stuff setting up for Scorpios, especially in March, April, May. A lot of this requires working hard, working together. You've got about a 3-month working period. It means that maybe you're really kind of showing up and leveling up with your finances and your career, and you're developing more independence and more capability of being able to make changes on the home front. So working remotely, relocating, you know, something like that. Willing to travel, but also move out there. We've talked about it, but it just hasn't panned out. Well, it's going to be better timing in about 3 months or so. So when you get from about March through June, that's a better time for you in terms of talking about living together and making these changes. For Scorpios, Mars and Venus are going to meet Pluto in the next month. They're going to come into conjunction in the 4th house, which means there's an opportunity to come together with a partner and say, hey, what changes are we making at home? What shifts are we making? You know, how can we be able to make this work? And then you're going to see Jupiter, Uranus go into your 7th house. So you might find quite literally by June, this could happen, but I think a lot of it's going to be built off of the conversations you're having. I think you're ready. I think you're capable. You're very able to make this move. I also feel like you're not going to do it unless you feel really solid and secure, and that there is going to be a mutual sense of support. So I'm not saying you can't move if he's in between jobs, but you know, that Queen of Pentacles is like, I've got my shit together. I know what I'm doing. I'm ready to make this move. And you're going to feel like you need some, you know, somebody who can kind of reciprocate what you're bringing to the table, right? But give it about 3 months. It looks like it's very possible. And like, to be honest with you, I think that this could be a nice change of pace and like a little bit more excitement. And it can kind of kick some things up and make you feel a little bit invigorated in terms of, you know, taking on some new challenges with home and also your work. Good luck. Where do they live? Where are you thinking about relocating? All right, so we've got, circling back here. Sorry guys, I'm jumping around a little bit. We've got Miss Yuzavi, Jani, and Anna. So Yuzavi says, I'm making a huge change in my career in the next 3 months. Please pull a card for more insight on how it will turn out. Virgo moon and rising Sag sun. I feel like I lost a card. Did I? I might have lost a card. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I want to see what it is. Oh, it's the strength card. Okay. All right. So let's see. She's going to make a change in her career over the next 3 months. How will this turn out? I feel like the strength card's a good sign. At least it's saying like, hang on, it'll work. Ooh, and I got 2 cards here. So the 2 cards that I got together was the 10 of Swords and the 4 of Wands. So are you having to end one type of work or career, or are you quitting one job to take something else on? To me, it seems like, I mean, the 10 of Swords can feel like, okay, I have no choice but to kind of like move on, or what I've been doing feels like it's a dead end, or, you know, this is no longer working, so I have to proceed forward. But the 4 of Wands seems to indicate there's something worth celebrating, that you're kind of wrapping this up and you're moving on to the next thing. This can be a job that's also like more social. It can be more about celebrating coming together with other people, being creative, having opportunities to like have events and connect with others and like collaborate. So I really feel like whatever you're moving away from, like, let it be. It's in the past now. Moving forward into the future, you have so much to kind of like look forward to that's going to give you an opportunity to expand in ways socially and creatively that you haven't had the opportunity to in the past. 4 of Wands can also talk about temporary spaces. So it means that maybe you're getting into something where you're like, look, I'm getting into this field. I'm doing this for a period of time. I'm going to be seeing how it goes. I'm getting my feet wet and I'm expanding. And I know that I have to do this for a period of time to get experience before I go to the next phase. So it's not like you're moving into a job that you're going to be for 20 years, right? It's like, okay, this is the beginning phase before I move on to phase 2. So I'm not saying don't get comfortable, but I am saying look for increments of 4. So it could be something you do for 4 months. It could be 4 years. Maybe you're there for a few seasons and you're like, okay, after 1 year, I'm moving on to the next thing. But the connections and the experiences that you're going to have here, I think, are going to be very exciting and very uplifting. So I definitely think it's a good move that you're making. Good luck with that, Maria. We've got Yanni Clark. And the strength card is at the bottom of the deck, of course. Yanni, Scorpio rising, Virgo sun, Saggy moon. Let's take a look and see what the cards say for Yanni. What does she need to know in terms of general stuff? Career, relationships, money, love. 5 of Wands, Ace of Swords, 10 of Cups. So to me, it seems like life has been kind of coming at you fast recently, and maybe there's been this feeling of kind of getting hit with everything recently. 5 of Wands feels like some combativeness. I think a lot of this for you, I attribute this to both from the Virgo perspective of a Mercury retrograde being a lot about some challenges going on, especially revolving around your home and your family. The retrograde was in Sagittarius, which was basically, 4 houses away from your sun. It represents whether or not you feel like you have control over what's going at home. And then the Mercury retrograde itself, from the perspective of Scorpio, was actually going from your 3rd house into your 2nd house over your moon. So, changes going on with your finances, especially pertaining to your home, maybe feeling like there was some things that were going to be coming up that was going to be challenging that you didn't feel like you had control over. I feel like the 5 of Wands is about, in the past, maybe there's been some combativeness in regards to home situations or family situations. And you're like, okay, I don't want to return to that, or I don't want to feel like I have to fight or have to struggle with these situations. Right now you have the Ace of Swords. So this is about communication, clarity, passion, integrity, directness, getting the point across, defending yourself, relaying messages. In the next week, we're going to see Mars, which is your chart ruler as a Scorpio rising, and Mercury, which is about your mind and communication, come together in the 3rd house, which means you're telling people definitively, this is what I want and this is how I need it. This is the timeline and this is how it's going to go. This is what I'm hoping to achieve and this is how I want to execute it. So there's going to be much more of like an assertive tone. There's more of you standing up for yourself, getting the point across, telling people what you need. And the beauty is that in Capricorn, it sextiles your ascendant, so it helps you make the changes that you're hoping to see happen. It's also going to be trining your 7th house of relationships, so it's opening up your relationship to other people. Communication in your local community, really busy emails and messages and phone calls and text messages in your 3rd house. It can be a time where there's a lot more communication with siblings or where you're planning a trip. It can be a time where communication with relationships is actually improved because you're talking to them more about what you're going to do and how you're going to take initiative, and less focused on telling them what you need from them or what's going to happen. You're like, I'm doing this, you do you, this is what I'm doing. Or maybe taking responsibility also for, your ends of things if you feel like you need to, squash something with somebody. Be mindful that aces can be about new opportunities, so contracts, communications, and ideas. And the 10 of Cups is saying that there's emotional fulfillment at the end of this, that there is a sense of feeling like satisfied and relieved and complete and happy with having had these conversations. So if you've been dreading talking to somebody about something, if you've been holding back from telling somebody what you think or how you feel, it's almost better to have these conversations, get it off your chest, get it away, out into the ether so it's not eating you alive. And you'll feel emotionally like there's a sense of ease and also happiness for how these conversations go, because they're going to go a lot better than I think you think they're going to go. Confirmation is the World card. So this can mean that you're finally like wrapping things up and feeling like you have a sense of completion and being like, okay, I've wrapped this up, whether it's with relationships with siblings, relationships with people, home matters. You're like, there's no need to kind of open this door again. We've said what we need to say. And now, we're focusing on moving forward. big changes with Pluto in Aquarius in your home, in the future of your home and family. And so I think a lot of it is revolving around how you're going to be living, how your family's going to be living, and maybe how you communicate with certain relatives as well. Good luck, Janny. And last but certainly not least, we have Anna. Anna says, hey Candace, I'm a 12th house Sag Sun rising, 4th house Aries moon. I have Saturn, Mars, and Jupiter in Virgo in the 9th. I'm 44 years old and I feel super excited for 2024. I'm trying to grow my astrology practice and I'm building as a therapeutic framework to help others discover their best selves. I want to help build my social network and share inspirational messaging inspired by my astrology and intuitive thoughts. I also have an astrology retreat coming up in May and I'm reuniting with my soul tribe. I want to know if these are good. Let's see. I want to know if these are good career. I kind of start to lose it a little bit. Career moves for me and what my spirit guides want me to know. Okay, gotcha. Well, thank you for your donation. I appreciate it. Well, thank you. I'm happy to help. All right, so let's see. So I'm excited to see that you're doing it. You know, you're 44, so you're in a annual perfection. You're 9, so you're traveling, you're teaching, you're connecting with people. So these are all good things, especially if you have a 9th house north node in. Well, your north node is in Virgo, but you have Jupiter in the 9th, so you're maybe traveling like a little bit more so like locally, maybe is the feeling that I'm getting. So let's see what the cards have to say for you in terms of where you're going with your astrology practice. And what is transpiring for you. Wow, look at all these swords. 5 of Swords, 8 of Swords, 4 of Swords. For me, this seems like there's like a lot of like breaking through energy, confirmed by the Knight of Swords. So I think about how, you know, if you're a Sag Sun and Sag Rising, you're going to start seeing Saturn and Neptune getting closer and closer to your 4th house, which might mean that you're feeling maybe stuck a little bit closer to home. Maybe there's a lot more focusing on working from home, you know, working with people close by. Maybe you're kind of feeling like it's a challenge, you know, that you're having to really organize your life in a way where you're like, you know, there are my responsibilities to my home and my family, or what I'm doing, or my emotions, and I got to deal with that. And there's times when I'm home and times when I'm out. You'll see as Jupiter goes into Gemini in your 7th house, opposing your sun, squaring Saturn, that like February, March of this year is going to be much more about kind of being home and kind of buckling down and doing the work. April, May, June is going to be about partnerships, and you're going to see like, you know, August and September is more about career. So there's going to be almost like, you know, this mutable T-square with Saturn and Neptune and your sun taking place this year. So everything is going to be making you think about, you know, how am I feeling? Where am I putting an end to past patterns? Where can there sometimes be some stress that can be coming up emotionally, or things revolving around home and family that can be limiting or challenging my ability to maintain a sense of optimism, right? So 5 of Swords comes up, which means that you're like, I'm no longer interested in feeling stuck or feeling blocked or having conflicts with people. I'm not interested in miscommunications or misunderstandings. Maybe Pluto going into Aquarius is really having you work on your mindset and how you communicate with people and trying to kind of change the way that you connect with others. That 8 of Swords also tells me that there is a sense of undoing, a sense of feeling stuck, or a sense of feeling unseen or doubting yourself. This is like a mentally stuck card, so it does kind of indicate that if you're feeling like there's some blind spots, or where you're inhibited from being able to feel confident moving forward in your work, that you're working your way out of it by reminding yourself that, you know what, if you're not opening yourself up, or if you're not being a little bit more willing to be vulnerable or connect with others, then you can be repeating similar patterns. This is also a card that talks about not being aware of where either trauma or past hangups can kind of get in the way and keep you from like really feeling like your most confident self. And then the Four of Swords comes up, which talks about like rest, recuperation, and, kind of like sometimes like rehabilitation as well. So I see this as knowing when to do the work this year and knowing when to retreat and knowing when to take care of your emotional health or your mental or spiritual health. I do feel like you're going to learn a lot about rest and retreat in the time that you spend alone. So I love that you're like, hey, I'm going and connecting with people and you're doing that work. But maybe when you come back, you realize like, wow, that took a lot out of me to go and do that. And that you're kind of playing catch up energetically because there's so much work that's being done while you're out on the road. Knight of Swords is coming up as the confirmation card. So it also tells me that maybe you're taking action when it comes to continuing your education, learning something new, teaching something, writing something this year. It would not surprise me with a Sag sun that with Pluto going into your third house and Saturn being in your fourth house, like maybe you're trying to find ways of writing courses, putting together content, being more consistent with content, and like trying to get your messages out there to other people by maintaining much more of a routine at home. Sagittarius energy does not like to be caged. Maybe it's easier because you have your moon in Aries in the fourth house. But still, that's a lot of fire. So I do feel like you can get a little restless if you go through extended periods of being at home. So setting up like, biannual retreats where every 6 months you go out and you do something, or, going and doing stuff on your own where you're going to take a vacation and then you're going to come back and you're going to get back into the swing of work is really important to kind of break up some of this energy so you're not feeling as restricted and as limited, because you can go through bouts of being like, okay, I'm feeling creatively blocked. I'm spending a lot of time at home and working at home. I'm feeling kind of stuck. So you need to move that energy around. And those eclipses on your moon in the fifth house can be great for new hobbies. It can be great if you're self-employed. It can be wonderful also for working with younger people. And talking to other people about, your business, what you're creating, what you're doing, and like showing people a lot of your individual talents. I just feel like there's so many earth and water elements this year that's really teaching you that it can't be all go, 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 that there needs to be time to kind of stop and integrate and like really do the work emotionally along the way. So you may feel like with the Saturn squares that you're like, this is taking longer to get the results that I'm wanting, or I'm having to stay home in order to kind of see this through. But I think that it's going to be rewarding. Just be making sure that you're kind of maintaining that work-life balance, because that seems to be really important with these cards, because all of the cards are about communication, ideas, intellect, and swords can oftentimes bring stress. So it's about managing stress, being able to really let go of feeling challenged by other people or where other people are not communicating effectively, and take the time to kind of like really do the work and integrate with yourself and focus on consistency when it comes to what you're actually producing and you're putting out there to kind of get your work out there more so consistently and be seen, because it seems like that is the key. So hopefully that's helpful. Work with the element of air, writing, chimes, incense, meditation, channeling, and journaling and writing things down. This is all kind of connected to this element. I think to kind of help you maybe release some stuff where you have had either some doubts or some concerns about being able to move forward with some of this work. Okay? Sending you lots of good vibes. We both have Aries moon, so the moon eclipses, the North Node eclipses are really positive this year for getting your face out there. So more people are going to see your face, that's for sure. Did I miss anybody? Let me make sure I'm not missing anyone. If you guys haven't already given me a thumbs up and liked this, please do like the stream. It's really helpful in letting people know that we're here, that we're doing readings. I want to start a blog on my website. Perfect. So do that. That would be wonderful. That would be really wonderful. Especially I think of like Pluto being connected to your 12th house, and it's moving through your third. It could be like subconscious things and dreams and interpretation and things relating to like past life and in your intuitive hits as well. If you guys like my work, give me a thumbs up. Also, you guys can head over to my website at beyondtheveiledtarot.com. I teach astrology, I teach tarot. So if you guys vibe with how I do this, I have beginners courses that are study at your own pace for both of these topics and an advanced astrology 201. While you're there, sign up for my newsletter so you can be alerted as to when I have new content coming out, new courses, new webinars, and all that fun stuff. You can always catch me here Fridays at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Next week, we're going to do astrology. We've got a lot of stuff going on this week. Pluto's going into Aquarius. We've got an intense full moon in Leo and a Mercury-Mars square. So make sure that you're subscribed so you can watch these videos, learn all about why this week is so important for really stepping up to the plate and getting the work done. We've also got horoscopes and all kinds of other stuff on the channel to help you guys as we move through this month of February. As always, January, hello. As always, thank you guys for spending your Friday with me. It was awesome getting a chance to read for you. Big thank you to everybody who participated in getting a reading this evening. And hopefully I will see you guys here next week. Otherwise, I'll see all of you very soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.